In today's Bolton Landing, Sly Beauty has shown speed and talent on the turf as the Woodbine Invader, the one to catch of the feature. Todd Pletcher will send out a pair of 2-year-old fillies to try and run her down. Sugar Queen will make her turf debut off a 4-length win earlier in the meet. Fairyland romped at first, asking for Wesley Ward, but things did not go according to plan of Royal Ascot. And trainer Bill Mott could figure prominently on today's card. We'll hear how it all began and what became a Hall of Fame training career. Welcome to Saratoga Live. It is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. We start another week here at the premier race meet in all the country. Welcome to Saratoga here in Saratoga Springs. Beautiful weather and a good crowd on hand for the action this afternoon. Greg Wolf alongside racing analyst Gabby Gaudet, and our feature, this Bolton Landing 2-year-old fillies sprinting on the turf, and it looks wide open.
It does. It's going to be a tough race, and I thought that it was a key scratch of the 2 mentality. So now Wesley Ward will only send out 1 in Fairyland. But I do think that Todd Pletcher is sending out a potent duo there, one getting to the turf for the first time.
Yeah, Wesley Ward has said Fairyland, he believes, is turning into a monster. So he is very high on her chances. She's going to have the rail in that race, and what will be our feature. That is in race 9, part of our late pick 4 coming up in just a little bit. Our races that will bring you this afternoon that comprise the pick 4 sequence begins here in race 7. 5.5 furlongs on the turf. We have a 3-5 favored entry, and both halves of that entry look real tough. The 8th race, mile over the inner turf. New York breds in a 25 claiming race. Bill Mott with a horse named Mowbridge, where he grew up, town that he grew up in South Dakota. 9-5 favorite there. The 9th, of course, our feature will close things out with a $20,000 maiden claiming event. With more, though, on this Bolton Landing we'll get to in a moment. Let's show you the track conditions, though, first. Brought to you by John Deere. Main track is fast. Turf condition listed as firm for today's action. All right, Bolton Landing field. We mentioned Wesley Ward had 2 in here. He was not going to run mentality unless there were issues with this race, so he's pretty high on Fairyland. She had some issues when she went to Royal Ascot. She did not get to wear blinkers, which she did wear in her debut, Gabby. Wesley Ward apparently forgot to notify the Ascot officials that she'd be wearing the equipment, and then things got even worse from there. She wasn't that alert out of the gate. She got a little rambunctious when they had to resaddle her, so hoping for better things today with Fairyland.
There's a lot of different factors that you aren't necessarily used to at Royal Ascot, so a lot to take on. Just a reminder that the 2 mentality is a scratch out of the Bolton Landing. So talking about Wesley Ward's filly to the rail, Fairyland, blinkers go back on her today, and she's going to be very quick from the rail post position. Sly Beauty is another filly who's pretty fast as well, so there is a lot going on in this race. It's going to be a great feature.
You can play along from home as well as we show you these races. Do not forget to get signed up and started with Naira Bets. If you bet 200, you can get 200 in your account as well. The promo code to take advantage of that is PIG5. You can get signed up and started with Naira Bets all across the country. Go to NairaBets.com. Naira Bets is racing's best play. Big week here as well, because we have the Alabama coming up this weekend. Of course, last year it was Songbird in a romp. Her 2nd grade 1 of the meet. She had won the Coaching Club American Oaks as well. She has all kinds of fans. We're going to see her again, of course, August 26th in the Personal Ensign. This year's Alabama, however, is absolutely stacked, and we figure to have a lot more competitive race this year than we did with Songbird last year.
Exactly. Songbird was a standout last year, but this year, wow, what a betting race is going to be, Greg. Just looking at the field, we've got the 5 Unchained Melody, who recently won the Mother Goose. She looks like a really talented filly. New Money Honey getting to the dirt for the first time for trainer Chad Brown. I thought that was an interesting move. And we, of course, have Salty. She's really danced many dances. And Holy Helena, I think this filly is an up-and-comer. So, as you said, contentious field.
She beat the boys. Holy Helena winning the first leg of the Canadian Triple Crown. And, yeah, New Money Honey, your Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf winner, moving to dirt. A lot of great storylines in that Alabama going up on Saturday. Meanwhile, the #1 horse in all the world, of course, he was a flop in the San Diego. It shocked everybody. Can he get back to what he was in the Pacific Classic? This was his work on Monday at Del Mar 4 furlongs, Gabby, and 47-1. And you see him throwing that head around. Is that a big negative sign to you?
He's throwing his head around because he's apprehensive to switch his leads. And I will say this, he's never been a particularly brilliant workhorse in the morning. He kind of just does what he needs to do. But I've never seen him do that. And once you see horses kind of apprehensive to switch their leads, I never think it's a good sign. It could be that he was paying attention to something else. It could be a soreness issue. It could be a multitude of different things. But you have to at least believe in Bob Baffert that he's still going into the Pacific Classic confidently. Maggie, what did you think of the work?
I agreed with you, Gabby, and from what I can make out, he started off on that inside left lead as well, and as you said, reluctant to get to his right. Now, what I think is somewhat in the back of Bob Baffert's mind is Arrogate's overall affinity for the Del Mar surface. Arguably, his 2 worst races came over the Del Mar Strip, where before coming in and dominating the Travers, he won a 3-horse A other than by just not a slim margin, but not as much as you would see. In his next start, really broke through with that performance in the track record-setting time for the 1.25 miles here at the Spas. But Bob Baffert saying that he wants to keep him at Del Mar because that is where the Breeders' Cup Classic is going to be run. I don't think Bob would be running this horse in the upcoming Pacific Classic if there was that big of an issue. Obviously, it's a pretty soft field, but I know a guy that is fairly close with Bob Baffert. That's Paul LaDuca. Paulie, what has Bob alluded to about Arrogate going into this Pacific Classic?
Well, you know, going into his last race, or out of his last race, was able to talk to him, and he was confused just like everybody else. And I remember him telling me, listen, I think I was a little light on him, and I also worked him with a very good workhorse named Cat Burglar, who's more of a 1.5 mile type horse out in Southern California. You could see he worked him by himself there, which he was doing before. I'm not in love with the work. You can't love the work. He's looking around, and then towards the end, he starts swishing his tail. Bob will even tell you, I think he's starting to lose focus. But then again, when Bob talks about him, he's not really worried. He thinks that he was way too light on him going into the San Diego, and now he's gotten tightened him up. The exact words that he told me, Wolfie, before I hung up the phone with him was, you know what, I should have just raced him right into the Pacific Classic instead of running into San Diego. He was not ready. But again, this work still gets me a little bit worried.
All right, well, we'll see if there are concerns. Let's bring in New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. Andy, I mean, how big is this race for him in the Pacific Classic in terms of what we see from this horse, his reputation, and if he's even going to go to the Breeders' Cup? He has to perform, right, on Saturday?
Well, yeah, I mean, his reputation, I wouldn't diminish it for me because he ran so poorly in the last race. It's not like he's stringing together a couple of mediocre performances. He had one horrendous race, and there's usually a reason for that. I have trouble believing Bob Baffert would run him back if he wasn't doing really well. I think Arrogate, based on what we see on the racetrack, is really a great talent, a true great talent. What he did in Dubai was otherworldly. What he did here in the Travers was otherworldly. The way he ran down a loose in the lead California Chrome, who was sensational last year.
Unbelievable.
These were, you know, putting together those kind of races. Good horses don't do that. Great horses do that. So we've seen true greatness from him. I hope we see it again. I like good horses, and I want to see good horses run like good horses, and I hope we see it from him in this race and in the Breeders' Cup. We'll find out.
Yeah, we don't want it to be tarnished, right, guys? Because you look at what Andy said. When he ran by Gunrunner, phenomenal, what we saw from Gunrunner. Then you see the field that he lost to, and you saw the Pacific Classic field. He drew 8 of 8. Sorry, Eric was claimed for 30. The same horses. He doesn't beat these horses. He needs to beat them by a lot, too.
Well, yeah, I mean, the good Arrogate will easily handle this field. I mean, he'll beat them by 4 or 5 lengths. I hope we see him. You know, even if as bettors, we make choices and we make bets, but we're also fans of the game. And Arrogate, horses like Arrogate don't come around too often.
You're right,
you want to appreciate them when they come, and I think we will be able to appreciate him if he runs his true race on Saturday.
Well, we are all hoping to see the Arrogate of old. As we take a look at the NTRA Top Thoroughbred poll, he is still there, #1 by a long ways. Gunrunner, of course, was sensational here, Gabby, in the Whitney. And he'd love, I'm sure, Well, I guess Steve Asmussen wouldn't care if Arrogate wasn't around when they got to the Breeders' Cup Classic.
He might be actually happy about that. But Arrogate, you know, the Pacific Classic is going to be a big test, and not to say that it's going to tarnish his reputation, but just in terms of what's going to be next for Arrogate, and Bob even saying publicly, yes, he needs to perform in the Pacific Classic in order to go to the Breeders' Cup Classic. So we'll see. I wasn't particularly happy with what I saw with the workout, but he's still an excellent horse, your world's best horse.
Let's get into the pick four. It starts with this race here, allowance optional claiming race, 5.5 furlongs on the turf, and the entry getting a ton of play on the board, 3 to 5. Both halves of the entry can win, and with more on the entry, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
And the plain one of the entry, guys, Command, he looks sensational here. But my concern is a little bit with the letter part of the entry, and that is Vici. Vici is covered in hives today. Now, hives can mean a multitude of things. Usually it's a reaction, and whether it's a kind of superficial reaction with the skin, maybe the bedding didn't agree with him, and that usually doesn't necessarily affect the way they run. But sometimes it's a reaction to something going inside, and that's when you see a negative outcome in a horse's performance. So like I said, I don't know what is causing the hives, but he does have them here today. Moving on to a horse that just seems as though he's in great form as of now, and that's number 6, And Play, for trainer Tom Bush. I think he looks sensational, as he has throughout 2017. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that true, honest end play effort that we've seen in the past. Moving on to number 7, Zoot Suit. Seems as though Alan Iwinski has this guy in very good form, at least as far as his races at Gulfstream Park and Monmouth are concerned. But he looks good here. He's certainly one that's never really grown, but that's okay when you're a turf sprinter. He is on the smaller side, but very well conditioned heading back to this effort here at the Spa. Andy, I know the entry is going to be tough to beat, but is there anyone?
To me, there isn't. And not only, I mean, it's an unusual entry situation. You know, Paul, commend the one by himself is the worst to be. He was over his head running against the likes of Green Mask, who's not just the best turf sprinter in the country right now. He's one of the better turf sprinters we've seen in a long time. Love to see him and Lady Aurelia hook up out at Del Mar. His race before that was a slow-paced race against a good horse named El Talento, trained by Todd Pletcher, and he literally just ran him down the stretch. If he runs that race, I think he's going to win here.
Yeah, you make a great point, because End Play, who was behind them, sort of got very leg weary. If you think about it, he went by the one. End Play started taking some bad steps. Now you could say, oh, you know, End Play needed the race, was off 3 lengths, but you're right. I mean, at no way, shape, or form did you think that El Talento was going to lose this race, but Commend just keeps on coming. Now watch the horse in the middle. That is End Play, and End Play is the 3, and she just starts getting steppy because she's tired.
And this is the definition of the word relentless, this rally. And you see and say, well, End Play only lost by 2 lengths. 2 lengths in 6 furlong turf sprints is like 8 lengths in dirt races. And then to couple that, you've got the 1A in here, Vici, who I don't think it's really Irene Ortiz's fault, and maybe he's a sort of difficult horse. He always seems to move a hair too soon, but he made the first and widest move. He was a full 4 wide for much of the turn, 3 to 4 wide, and he only lost a head bob to the favorite, Partly Mocha, in a big loaded field. So you've got Commend, who looks like he towers over the field, and Vici, his entry mate, who towers over the rest of them.
Yeah, Vici made a really wide move. He actually got overlapped. He was about 6 or 7 wide. Partly Mocha was about 8 wide, and it was a great finish. And you make a good point. They put blinkers on this horse, and he broke very, very sharp. But you know, Irad really had nowhere to go. And now you're going to see Vici's going to be on the complete outside, not complete outside, the middle of the track. Now he's in the front. Now watch the horse on the complete outside to the left side of your screen is just going to outfinish him in the Ramsey hat here, and then the other horse on the complete outside. So the 3 horses were way back, but it's just still a good effort.
And End Play, once again, End Play finished just a length behind him, but End Play had a nice ground-saving trip. He sort of sat behind horses. They're tough to beat. Now, the second choice in here is the 7 Zoot Suit. Well, I'm surprised to see taking so much money, because his turf sprints are okay, but they're 5 furlongs at Gulfstream. His last race where he got a big figure, well, that race was off the turf on the dirt. And they seemed to almost be betting him off that race. I don't think his turf races give him a prayer to upset them, and I think he's an underlay for the second slot.
See, I think he is the solid second choice. Okay. His race 2 back, it doesn't say, he did get steadied out of the gate, and then he was able to settle way back in dead last, and Tyler Gaffalione had to circle that field. You know, his next start, he broke very sharp on the dirt, took it to Uplifting, who was your big favorite. I think he sits in a better spot today.
Yeah, my problem is his last turf race, this More Mia who he beat is basically a 10 claimer. I just think these horses are better. Now, I'm playing a pick 4 where I'm going to single to 1. I'm going to use 2, 3, 6, 7 the next leg, 1, 3, 5 in the 8th, or the 9th, excuse me, and 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. $30 ticket, and hope somewhere in there I get a couple of middle price typed horses, and we can make some money with this 3 to 5 shot. I think you're going in a slightly different direction, Paul.
Yeah, I'm just going to use one more in here, 1, 7, and we'll go all the way to the last race. I really truly feel, IRST, yes, that's how you pronounce it in race number 10. The 3 is one of those horses that's either going to win that race by many or I think is off the board. So I'll use Shot in there because I think that horse will like the cutback to 7 furlongs. But Annie and I's tickets, very similar. We're not going to single around Fairyland where all the buzz is going in race 9.
Yeah, can we talk about one more horse here, the 5-horse Expected Ruler? I think the 5 Expected Ruler, here's my play in playing this race individually. I'm going to make a 1-5 exacta because I think Expected Ruler, second off the trainer change, has a little bit of improvement in him, some back race good enough, and then I'm going to play tries 1 with 6, 7 with 5. My idea is to try to get the 5 in the number behind the 1.
I think you got something behind this 5. I think this 5 ran okay last time. This is my long shot in here at 22 to 1.
Longest shot on the board, Greg.
Yeah, huge number there. You see that pick 4 pull, $241,000 and growing here, Gabby, as we get set for this first leg. But this entry getting hammered. I know Andy's very high on the entry. I'm not sold at that price.
Commend is going to be very tough to beat. As Andy was mentioning, he ran a credible race next to Green Mask, who's the top turf sprinter in the country right now. And hit 2 back, he ran an incredible race. But the thing about this race, Greg, is that there's not an overwhelming amount of speed. And they were talking about a horse like the 7 Zoot Suit. I don't think he's good enough to win this race. 2 starts back, Andy mentioned as well. More Mia is a $10,000 claimer. It was a 5-horse field. He had everything go his way. I think the public might be betting him because there is a lack of overall speed, and he's going to be forwardly placed in here.
We just saw that 3 go by Uncle Huge. He's got some pace. He's coming out of a race that was won by Dubini. That is a horse who is 3 for 3 to start his career. Gio Ponte, 4-year-old, who's pretty talented running in Monmouth. So we'll see if that horse can show a little bit of pace here in this race coming up. He's on the board at 16 to 1. Our post parade coming up. We're going to start off with the entry here in just a moment. And everyone here seems to think it is no contest. Commend and Vici will get it done here to start off this pick 4. We're going to see Commend first. Jose Ortiz, Bill Mott, and 2 back was a winner at Belmont at 6 furlongs on the turf.
Very, very potent Claiborne Farm entry in this race. Commend is a stakes quality turf sprinter. If he works out the right trip, he's going to be very hard to beat.
Other half of that entry is Vici, Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard for trainer Ben Colebrook.
The knock on Vici is he has 5 seconds and only 2 wins. But the positive is he's a very talented horse who's run 2 straight top races and just narrowly lost each one.
Entry, both sons of Warfront, sent out by Claiborne Farm. The 2, Fear, Dylan Davis. And this is a horse who has won his last 3 on grass.
Yeah, you make a good point, looking for 4 in a row. But the New York bred going to take on Open Company today in a long shot at 12 to 1.
Here's Uncle Huge. Katie Davis rides for Hugh McMahon.
As was mentioned by Greg, looks to be the inside speed. That's probably the best thing he has going for him. He might be a little too tough.
Amelia's Wild Ride is the 4, trained by Jane Sibeli. It's Paco Lopez aboard.
Tough horse to figure out here. Has back numbers that could win this race, but the last 2 races are very confusing.
Multiple stakes winner with that back class. The 5 Expected Ruler, Kendrick Carmouche aboard for Derek Ryan.
The Serling long shot to get into the exacta or try. Has back races that are fast enough. Second time out for a new trainer. Think he has a chance at a big price.
End play is the 6, trained by Thomas Bush. Luis Saez aboard.
He's sort of like the lunch pail horse. Always brings his game, but is he good enough to beat these at 8 to 1?
And Zoot Suit outside speed here for trainer Alan Iwinski with Javier Castellano.
A rare situation where Gabby Godet and I agree, and we're against Paul a little bit right here. But he does have that early speed that gives him a chance in here. He'll have to build, though, on his turf races.
That is your post parade for race 7 here as we look at the entry again here. And here is Commend, sent out by the Hall of Famer Bill Mott. Jose Ortiz will ride back. He's been on board each of the last 3 starts, including that win at Belmont 2 starts ago. We'll return with the 7th and the pick 4 next.
The graded stakes winning son of Bernardini is off to a sensational start at stud. Among the leading freshman sires by winners in graded stakes horses, his first crop 2-year-olds commanded prices up to 36 times his stud fee. Leading progeny include TD and Rising Star Recruiting Ready, second in the Bashford Manor Stakes, and stakes place performer Junket. The pedigree, speed, and class to become the next star in this sensational sire line. Algorithms at Claiborne Farm.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new Naira Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish from a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. Naira Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download Naira Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before.
Back on Saratoga Live on this Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for spending part of your afternoon with us here. We're getting set for the start of a Pick 4 coming up. I want to remind everybody to get involved with this. You can get down on this Saratoga Showdown online contest without risking any of your own money, and you can win 50,000 Naira Bets points and also an entry into a 2018 Belmont Stakes prize package valued at over $2,000, and learn how to bet a little bit along the way with a mythical bankroll. Again, go to SaratogaShowdown.com or Naira.com to get involved. Getting back here with the first leg here, this Pick 4 coming up, Gabby, we get a look at end play here for Thomas Bush.
And looking at his last race, and I hear what Andy was mentioning, that he pretty much saved ground the entire way last time out. And the race did appear to set up well for closers. We saw partly Mocha close from off the pace. We saw Vici close from off the pace. And this horse didn't really have a lot of run. But the point about that I'm going to make about end play is that he's a horse, in my opinion, that prefers to sit a little bit closer. He is not necessarily a closing turf sprinter. When he won going 3/4 at Belmont 2 starts back, he was more forwardly placed. And in here, I see, in today's race, I see Uncle Huge being the main speed. I see Zoot Suit maybe being a little bit forwardly placed, but there's no other speed than that. So I think tactically today we could see a better performance from him.
Right now, 9-1 on the board on the 6-horse end play. Meanwhile, Expected Ruler, one of a couple of horses we talked about with some backclass. Huge price on the board at 27-1 with more on this son of Lowada Zanamo. Let's go to Maggie.
And Greg, you're right. Looking at Expected Ruler, he does have some back races. I mean, he played in pretty much every kind of overnight turf sprint stake that we had running across the country last year. He's making his second start here for trainer Derek Ryan. And to me, while he is a big price, obviously he's the longest shot on the board, he looks good. He's dappled head to toe. He's showing the energy you want. He's very, very fit here overall. And it's not as if he's meeting a lesser field, but at least, you know, he's not meeting a stakes field. So I think he's very usable. I know Andy likes him a bit as a long shot, but Andy, I also want to hear your thoughts on a horse that kind of caught my eye in number 6 end play.
No, it's funny. Paul and I are sort of arguing a little back and forth and disagreeing because he likes the 7 more than I do, and I like the 6. Not that you don't like the 6 also. I'm just surprised, Paul. There's such a huge difference in price between end play and Zoot Suit, and I don't disagree with anything Gabby's saying. I just don't think he's good enough to beat the entry. But to me, he is the logical other horse in this race. He just consistently runs one solid race after another.
No, he does. I mean, I'm not knocking the horse. My thing about that you should use in the multi-wagers if you're going to use the 7 over the 6. At least for me,
the speed of the 7 is what you like.
Well, yeah, the speed of the 7. And you know what, Gabby? I've seen the same story from men play. He's gotten beat by Vici. He's gotten beat by Commend. What makes him turn the tables today?
Well, that's what I was alluding to with last time out. The way that he could turn the tables on a horse like Vici, comparing to his last race, is that he needs to get into the game a little bit sooner. Like I said, he's not a closing sprinter. He's a horse that wants to be in position forwardly at the quarter pole and just kind of make up that added ground. So that's key for him, is to sit closer than he did last time.
So you want
out.
him to go more towards the front end?
True.
I agree with Gabby. I think he's supposed to be sitting third, sitting behind the 3 and 7. And I'm not going to be. Listen, I made 2 bets basically. I bet a 1-5 exacta, a small 1-7-5 try, and a much bigger 1-6-5 try in here, because I'm trying to make my. They're 1-2. I'm not covering any ground people haven't known. I think the entry's going to be very hard to beat. I just don't like the other horses. I think we should talk a little about Amelia's Wild Ride. His trainer Jane Sibeli, who has great numbers out of town, is 0 for the last 5 years, 0 for 23 in New York, with 5 hitting the board. I think it's been 7 or 8 years since she's won a race in New York. This horse has lost his form, but at one time, he was a very good turf sprinter.
He was behind Pure Sensation and Power Alert. He'd be the favorite.
He'd have been favorite in this race.
Yeah.
They ran this race 2 years ago. He would have been the favorite, Gabby.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I just don't think he's the same horse that he used to be. Actually, the first time in 2017, it was an okay performance, but since then he's just kind of declined. And with Jane Sibeli's numbers here, I couldn't put a lot of trust in him.
Loading up here, it kicks off the pick 4. We're close to $400,000 in the pool, as a bee almost flew in my mouth. 1-2 on the entry. Good. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of the Triple Crown for the call, Larry Colmus.
And play will follow Uncle Huge into the starting gate. Here is Vici. And the last one in will be Zoot Suit. Coming up to the outside stall to complete the line. Zoot Suit goes in. They're all in line. They're off. Uncle Huge is going to the front. Amelia's Wild Ride. Vici sent along between those two. Expected Ruler is 4th early on. Then End Play on the outside. Commend along the rail, and Fear. They're a tight pack. 3.5 lengths from top to bottom. And battling up front are Uncle Huge and Vici. These two locked in battle, moving for the far turn. 1.5 lengths to Amelia's Wild Ride. And then it's Commend on the inside. Fear between horses. 21.43, a sharp opening quarter mile. Zoot Suit's going up on the far outside. Then Expected Ruler. End Play last of them all. Vici up top with Uncle Huge along the rail. These two head and head on the lead. Vici and Uncle Huge. Commend trying to come up after them now. The entry about to be 1-2. It is Vici. Commend on the outside. Uncle Huge has given way. In the center comes End Play, and then comes Fear and Expected Ruler. It's Commend and Vici. Vici and Commend is in front. End Play is closing late. It's going to be Commend. Vici looks like he held on for second over End Play, and then it was Expected Ruler and Fear in 1 minute, 0.85 seconds.
Not far off the course record for 5.5 furlongs. Commend. Sharp in victory here for Bill Mott with Jose Ortiz aboard.
Yeah, they were rolling early, and I was extremely surprised to see Vici show that much gate speed. When they opened the gates there, I was predicting that Uncle Huge would be fast out of the gate, but we saw Vici pressure him the entire way around there and creating a perfect setup for his entry mate and Commend to just close from off of the pace. But guys, End Play, this was a huge performance from him, who was last early and almost actually got up.
Yeah, End Play did run well. I think that ultimately they went pretty quickly up front.
Yeah, they did.
And it turned out we all agreed sort of End Play would be close. Jockey and Connections didn't agree. They ended up finishing third, but a close third. It ended up working out for him, and my 5 got a nice perfect trip to get that old 165 try home.
Great triple for you, because the 5 was the play to get into the trifecta, and the 1 and the 1A here. So 1, 1A are going to finish 1, 2 here. And you're right, Gabby. The 6 come rolling late. Even on his wrong lead, he has got his his tongue out like Michael Jordan, always trying.
This Commend, though, is a nice horse. And Claiborne is a very nice entry between him and Vici in here. I'm a fan of Commend because, Commend ran better, I think, than we may give him credit for because he was actually really close to a hot pace in there, which is not his preferred running style.
We can see them coming out of the gate here just now. And like I said, the 3 Uncle Huge, we figured that he was going to be forwardly placed in here, but the 1A Vici, very fast as well. All of them very fast as turf sprinters, but hot early pace, and everybody just kind of took positions from there. We saw the 6 end play kind of take back from off of it. It was a fastly run race in here, Greg.
It was. They went extremely fast early, and again, the final time, just 2 ticks off the course record for 5.5 furlongs, which is 1 minute and 2/5 in here. So flying early, flying late. Commend at 2 to 5. That entry doubly tough, by the way. It was 1A 6-5, so 165 for your trifecta. Pick 4 underway with a heavy favorite. We're going to take a break in the action. When we come back, the man from Mobridge, South Dakota, sending out the horse named after the town where the Hall of Famer Bill Mott grew up. Here he is, making his way to the track and the paddock. We'll be back.
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at nyrabets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on nyrabets.com right in the bet type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
Back on Saratoga Live, there is Jose Ortiz, defending champion rider here at the Saratoga meeting. Picks up a win for trainer Bill Mott, Claiborne Farm, and Adele Dilschneider, the son of Warfront. Very, very close to a course record here at 5.5 furlongs on the turf. Commend wins for the 3rd time, 10 career starts. Let's send it downstairs to Maggie for more.
And I'm here, Greg, with winning conditioner Bill Mott, Hall of Famer, who sent out commend for a very fast winning performance here, Bill. And beneath Jose Ortiz, he kind of got a bit of a different trip than what he's used to. He laid fairly close today.
Yeah, he did lay closer. He broke well, and the good thing was he was still in behind horses. He was switched off, and I think he was going down the backside, and he was relaxed enough. And, you know, he was able to tip out when he turned for home and got a good clear run at him and was able to outrun his entry mate to the wire. But it was nice to see him be able to lay a little closer without running off. Of course, I guess they'd have to really be rolling to run off, you know, in those kind of fractions. But he does seem to be a little better when he's covered up.
And Bill, he's a horse that you've kind of toyed with putting in stake races. Obviously, fourth last time behind Green Mask and the Highlander up at Woodbine. Is he a horse that you then again look at stakes after this performance? I
would think so. The way he ran today, and of course we lost the condition, and we've always believed in him that he was a pretty good horse. He's very well bred. He's a half to, you know, 2 good stallions, and we'd really love to get some, you know, good black type on him and one day be able to send him to the breeding shed.
Well, 2 horses that do have some black type already are 2 fillies that are heading into the Alabama that you send out, Elate and Lockdown. The field drew today. Both fillies showed promise in both of their last starts. What are you looking for both of them?
Well, they both got to move forward. You know, they continue to, you know, need to move forward to win these kind of races. It's a very good race. There's very good fillies in there. Elate ran an exceptional race last time and was just a nose away from winning a Grade 1. Now we got to, you know, maybe it's the turn of one of them to step up and get the job done this next time. But both fillies seem to be doing well, and we're optimistic, but, you know, certainly not overconfident.
Well, it's certainly an exciting race either way. Bill, best of luck with both fillies this Saturday, but congratulations with a commend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Greg, back to you.
All right, Maggie, thank you. 3-time Eclipse Award-winning trainer. He was the youngest trainer ever inducted into the Hall of Fame. He was just 45 years old when that happened back in 1998. There it is, prices. It is official. Commend the win, $2.90 for the victory. The entry mate, Vici, running second there for Claiborne Farm. And end play, $3.20 there as well. $25,000 claiming race, and Bill Mott going to figure big again. You would think in this race coming up, he had the 9-5 morning line favorite in Mobridge, although Mobridge early wagering right now on the board at 7-1. Back in July 29th of 1953, Bill Mott was born in Mobridge, South Dakota. He started training horses at just 15 years old. He had a stakes win before he even graduated high school. It just got better and better. Here's the story of Bill Mott in another edition of I Am.
I am Bill Mott. I am a trainer. My parents were always very supportive of whatever I wanted to do. They could tell how passionate I was about horses, and as we got started into it, about how passionate I was about racing. And of course I was always very competitive. I mean, I was in, you know, high school sports and that sort of thing, and I like winning and I like the competition, and I also loved horses. I'd saved up some money. I had some money in the bank. We had, you know, sold some calves and some pigs, and I had a little money saved up, and I wound up buying a horse. I went and bought my first horse for $2,000. I guess I was 15 years old at the time, and then I trained him that winter, and I was 16 when he won the South Dakota Futurity in like September of his 2-year-old year. So, you know, I got $3,800 to the winner, and I thought I was the richest guy in South Dakota at that point in time. And from the very beginning, I mean, I've always felt very lucky. I have been very lucky. You know, now I'm not sure whether I like the competition more, I like the horses more. I think I actually probably like the horses as much or more than the competitive part of it. But when you can put it all together and you can have, it's kind of the best, it's been the best of both worlds for me, just because it's what I want to do. And from the very beginning, I mean, I've always felt very lucky. I have been very lucky. And, you know, horses have The horses and the people that surround the horses have given me everything that I've ever had in life.
It's been an incredible career. Most know Bill Mott for his success with Cigar, that 16-race win streak over the course of his career, matching Triple Crown champion Citation. But he has done just about all you can imagine in this game. 3 Eclipse Awards, most recently in 2011, in a year that he won both the Breeders' Cup Distaff and Classic.
It's pretty incredible for a man talking about what he did at a very young age from South Dakota and what he's managed to accomplish in his career.
And this horse coming up, Mobridge, longtime friend and client, Lee Einseidler of Casamigos fame, decided to name this horse after his good friend Bill Mott, where he grew up in South Dakota. So we'll see. I expect this horse to get a lot more attention. Again, was 9-5 morning line, but early wagering, little askew here right now. We see this horse at 5-1 on the board. He comes in off a win at Belmont last time out.
And last time out, you're right, and he got the better of several horses he's going to once again face today. He was, I wouldn't say lucky, but he was very fortunate to get the lead last time out. But he is a tactical sort. Greg, I think they're betting the 7 Irish Prayer because he is one of the few capable closers in a race that has a lot of speed in it.
We're going to take a break in the action. We will have race 8 when we return. I want to remind everyone, don't ever miss a Saratoga race or expert analysis with the NYRA Now app. All videos also on demand in HD, making it the ultimate app for horse racing fans. Go to the App Store and search for NYRA Now. It's a free download and an absolute must for fantastic racing all meet long at Saratoga. We're going to take a break in the action. We'll be back. Mobridge going postward for Hall of Famer Bill Mott when we return.
How do I see New York bred performance? Like this.
Disco.
Here's New York sire Disco Partner setting a new world record in the Jaipur.
Holy mackerel.
And they perform like multiple Grade 1 winner Mind Your Biscuits.
And he's pouring it on late.
Shown here, winning the Belmont Sprint Championship. And New York breds perform in the sales ring, where this filly sold for $750,000. Look for your registered New York performer at upcoming auctions.
Make NYRA Bets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NYRA Bets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NYRABets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NYRA Bets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NYRABets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, getting set for race 8. And Bill Mott going to look to go back-to-back. Coming up, of course, show is brought to you in part by champion sprinter Run Happy, who won at 6 different racetracks, scored on both all-weather and dirt surfaces that were labeled fast, sloppy, and muddy, all the while racing 100% drug-free. This was in the 2015 Breeders' Cup Sprint, where he set a track record at Keeneland. Also set a stakes record right here at Saratoga in the King's Bishop. There he is on the farm in Paris, Kentucky, part of that outstanding stallion roster at Claiborne Farm. Run Happy. Looks like he's frolicking out there and having a good time. But he was a special sprinter.
He's very, very fast. Anywhere he went, he was an incredible horse in the afternoon, and beautiful horse as well.
Well, New York Racing Association is proud to offer the most extensive Spanish language content in the industry. Luis Grandison provides pre-race analysis. It's all available on the NYRA Now app and all in HD as well. He also calls each and every race. Here is Luis with the start of the NYRA Bets Late Pick 5 from earlier today.
Por la parte de afuera, su compañero de establo, Power Nabra, viene avanzando por fuera hacia el segundo lugar. El comando lo mantiene claramente el ejemplar. Full Saludo mantiene 4 o 5 cuerpos. Full Saludo con José Ortiz adelante. De atrás, Hello Depart viene avanzando, llegando, ganando Full Saludo. Segundo, Hello Depart. Tercero está arribando PDN. De cuarta está finalizando.
Now that 3 was closing like a freight train in there. He looks the part, but it was Full Salute for Chris Engelhardt. Second off the claim, Turf to Dirt getting the win as we look at our NYRA Bets Late Pick 5 follow along. 124,000 plus in the pool. If you're the only winning ticket, $150,000 minimum payout if you play it through NYRA Bets, even though there was only 124,000 in that pool. Saturdays, 300,000, but you got to play it through NYRA Bets to take advantage.
Great deal. Let's take a look at this field here, Greg, and this is an interesting race. We were kind of mentioning the betting going to the 7 Irish Prayer, but there's a race that several horses come out of. We want to go back and take a look at that. That was on the 29th of June. Now, Mowbridge got the better of all of them this particular day, but No Texting is a horse who you can see in the back of the pack. He actually was squeezed coming out of the gate that day, and this is a horse who likes to be on the lead. So unfortunately, he was left towards the back of the pack. Mowbridge fortunately got that position on the lead, and we saw Damage Control, another horse who likes to be a little bit more forwardly placed, have to close. So I did think that Mowbridge got extremely lucky in that race to kind of dictate and be more forwardly placed, whereas the 2 others were at a disadvantage. So No Texting, in my opinion, is the strongest one coming out of that race.
Yeah, No Texting got completely taken out of his game. Speed's been doing tremendous on this inner turf course, but there's more speed than just No Texting as we check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
That's right, Greg. And I'll get to one of those potential kind of upsetters for No Texting as far as speed is concerned in a second. But people are gravitating to number 7 in here. That is Irish Prayer. Now, he does get back out to a distance where I think he prefers. Physically, he's not built to be a turf sprinter. He's more built to be a turf miler. And I noted a couple starts back about how good he looked, at least in my notes. And once again, he's carrying that through here to Saratoga for his second start of this meeting, but at least going longer here. Now, I don't love him for the fact that he's a horse that only has 2 wins, and this is an open claiming 25, but restricted to New York breds. But there's horses who have won way more races than he that he's going to have to go up against here. So it's a little bit of a trickier condition, and I think that he might be in a little deep water, especially at a shorter type of price. Now, number 6 is Damage Control, and he's coming off a little bit of a freshening here for Rudy Rodriguez. Well, his races before this, both of his starts for Rudy, were decent enough to make him a player here. I wasn't thrilled with his overall physicality, and I think that this little bit of a break in racing has helped him. He's actually put on a bit more weight. He looks stronger behind the saddle, and just things that I like to see from a horse that, when he does look good, he does tend to run well, too. So I think Damage Control is a serious player as well. But the horse that has won the most races in this field is the 9-year-old. He's going to be a long price, big price in here, and that's Crafty Concord. He's won 18 races of 79. but he's only had one start on the turf. Now, there is a little bit of turf pedigree in here, as he's a half to Captain Gogan, who was a decent turf runner as well, and bred by the Generasios. We tend to see most of their runners on the turf. Now, obviously, there's reasons why he hasn't been on it, but maybe he can handle it. But I think the most dangerous thing that is going for Crafty Concord here is his speed, as he does stretch out on this inner turf course, going a mile. Maybe he could throw a monkey wrench into this field as a long shot. But Andy, I know you're taking a look at number 3, Mowbridge. He looks great here in the paddock. Always like this horse.
Yeah, I'm not Mowbridge's biggest fan, and it's funny. Now, what Gabby said, I agree with what Gabby said as far as Mowbridge. He was fortunate last time. It was one of these races that was loaded with speed, and everybody decided to take back. Now, Gabby correctly pointed out, no texting.
Yeah, but what about the horse that made
trouble.
the middle move and quickened that pace up? You don't.
In the last race?
There was a horse that made a middle move, and he was in between horses. I disagree with both of you, because I think Mowbridge was okay in there.
Okay.
But you think the pace wasn't fast anyway.
I think that what it was, maybe more than that, to be fair, Paul, is that the pace compromised other runners. I think the pace compromised damage control, but Gabby made a good point about him and talking horses. He might need the lead to win, but I make the same point about no texting. He's a need the lead type. I don't disagree. Well, Mowbridge won, but I felt like he won because of a confluence of events. But here's the thing. What if the 2 needs the lead to win, the 6 needs the lead to win, and I don't disagree with what Maggie said about Crafty Concord. They all get involved early and the pace falls apart. Then maybe Mowbridge wins anyway as we move to the 6.
Yeah, that's true, and maybe that's why the public is gravitating towards the 7, although the 7 is the 4th choice in all the will pays, and these will change. You're taking a look at the 6, damage control, and good signs there from Maggie in the paddock saying he looks well. He's got a little bit of a freshening. It seems like the freshening has worked for those type of horses. Now, the 7, Irish Prayer, maybe that was just a give-me race to get him out long.
I don't know what to do. Here's the argument for the 7 is the pace is going to fall apart. It's going to get hot, and he's going to get up and win. The argument against him is that he's too slow. The race that he won here last year, he got a monster pace to close into in a race that absolutely and completely just melted down in the last. He's going to need that to happen. Now, as you correctly pointed out, he's not going to be 2-1. He's going to be closer to 4-1. You look at the multi-race bets, and he's a clear-cut 4th choice. And I used him, and you used him too. I think we both think he can win.
But he should be like 6 or 7-1.
But he's going to need. He's going to need the 2 and 6 to get burned up in some sort of pace scenario or not be able to rate. The 3 horse to not show up, and then he can win. It's possible.
No, you're right, because when you look at the PPs, and he won from the 12-hole here, I'll give him that, and he was way on the outside. But who did he beat, Gabby? He beat the 1, Rooftop View, and if you want to make a case for that horse was at Belterra last time.
He was better then, though. Rooftop View was a better horse then, to be fair.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting because Maggie brought up the 4, Crafty Concord, and I don't know if he can win this race, but I mean, he has sprint speed. I think he's going to be in front. So then I think it comes down to who's going to be sitting right behind that horse. No texting and the damage control, the 2 and the 6. So it looks like it's going to be kind of a fight between those 2 to get position behind the 4.
I think the question really, though, Greg, is not who's going to be sitting right behind him, who's going to be sitting 3rd behind him, because I could see him not sustaining his speed, and then unfortunately maybe one of those horses that are in the 2nd wave inheriting the lead a little bit earlier and falling into that horse that's making that last move into the pace. I do not like Crafty Concord. I know he's a price, but there's a reason why he's run 79 times, and one of them has been on the turf.
Post-parade coming up here for race 8, and it's still favoritism on the 7, Irish Prayer, the closer in a race with a lot of pace in it. We're going to see Rooftop View here in just a moment to kick things off in our post-parade. This is a horse who was 20-1 morning line. He's actually taking a little bit of play as well. He's at 8-1. Manny Franco will be aboard as you get a look here at the crowd on hand on this Wednesday afternoon at the spa here in Saratoga Springs. Another beautiful afternoon. There's Manny Franco on the Son of Utopia.
Yeah, here's a horse that was 10-1 for $15,000 at Belterra Park. 9-1 at Saratoga.
9-2, meanwhile, on No Texting. Rudy Rodriguez trainee with Luis Saez aboard.
He was part of a fast pace that fell apart 2 starts back and had a trouble trip last time out, but he's trying to get that elusive victory in 2017.
And here's the Belmont trainee, horse named after the town Belmont grew up in, Mowbridge. Jose Lezcano aboard, comes in off a win.
And Bill going to look for back-to-back wins. I thought was better than look win last time out, but going to have to repeat it today.
Crafty Concord is the 4. And this one, the speedster, making career start number 80, the 9-year-old.
He's very fast, and he could be the thorn in the side of other speed types, but only one turf try and 79 other starts.
Damage control sent out by Michael Dubb by Rad Ortiz Jr. aboard for Rudy Rodriguez.
And comes out of a pretty decent performance and has some back numbers that definitely make him credible in this spot.
Irish Prayer, owned by 3 Diamonds Farm, Florent Giroux, Mike Maker trainee.
Took all the early money. Does have one of his 2 wins here at Saratoga. I still think he needs to improve, and I don't think he's going to be your favorite when the gates do open.
And Hector Diaz Jr. aboard XXX. More speed outside.
5 pounds off in the saddle and very well could send from the outside.
And is a multiple winner on the turf in his past. Double-digit odds at 11-1. There is Mowbridge for Leon Seidler. Bill Mott, Jose Lezcano, 7-2 on the board. Can Bill Mott go back-to-back? We'll return and find out next.
Undefeated in sprint competition, Eclipse champion Run Happy captured 3 Grade 1 victories and set blistering speed records at both Keeneland and Saratoga. In the Breeders' Cup Sprint, he dominated the world's fastest runners, going 6 furlongs in a record-breaking 108 and change. The only horse nominated for 3 Eclipse Awards, Run Happy was crowned champion male sprinter, all the while racing 100% drug-free. Champion, millionaire, record breaker, Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NyraBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
Welcome back to Saratoga Live here as we are 6 minutes away from race number 8. It's for the New York Breds, and they're on the turf, and I'm joined by the owner of one of those, an Irish Prayer, joined by Kirk Wyckoff of 3 Diamond Stable. And Kirk, as we look, we're 2-1 on the board with Irish Prayer. Now, he's a horse that, this is the lowest claiming tag that he's run for thus far, but he does only have 2 wins. Does it ever make you a little bit kind of nervous that he's facing horses that have more wins than he?
He needs the right setup in the race. We certainly thought we'd be 6 or 7-1, but this race has a lot of speed, and he's a closer. That's how he won the race after the Travers here last year. So we're hopeful he steps up to the plate.
And it's a good thing he likes the track as well. The turf course area, he's back out to a mile. Is that a better distance than the 5.5 that he tried earlier?
5.5 was just, we had been rained off twice. Rather than breeze him, we gave him a race. Florent likes the horse. He ran very well at 6 first out this year at Belmont, so this is a perfect distance for him.
And Kirk, you also bought the leading, as far as the New York bred sale that we saw at Fasig-Tipton this weekend, the biggest price tag, $500,000 for a Cairo Prince. And what did you like about this colt? I mean, they were selling like hotcakes for sure, the Cairo Princes.
Well, we've bred to him a bunch of times. We're partners with Waver Tree Farms, Kieran Dunn. He's a beautiful walking colt. We think Cairo Prince is the real deal. First sire by Pioneer of the Nile to have horses on the racetrack. So we thought he was worth the money. We can race him. We can sell him at Gulfstream. That'll be Kieran's decision.
Kurt, you're involved in all aspects of this game, whether it's claiming, breeding. Obviously, as an owner, you kind of cover everything. How much time and effort do you put into picking out horses to claim and your breeding situations?
Well, it sounds like you're from the IRS, so at least 1,000 hours a year, because that's the requirement. So, 20, 25 hours a week between claiming. My son Jordan helps me. Mike Maker's a wonderful claiming trainer. And we've been very fortunate with some of the horses we've got to go long on the turf.
Kirk, best of luck here with Irish Prayer.
Great. Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, Greg.
Welcome to Saratoga Live, and those just joining us on Altitude Network. The show is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Joining us just in time for the start of race 8 here at Saratoga. Mile over the inner turf, a New York bred $25,000 claiming race. Of course, our feature race still to come. 2-year-old fillies going 5.5 on the turf in the Bolton Landing. That is a very intriguing race. Greg Wolf upstairs here with Gabby Gaudet, racing analyst, as we look at our selections. And Gabby, you have gone to no texting for Rudy Rodriguez.
I did, Greg, and primarily because this horse is coming out of 2 tough races. 2 starts back, he was involved in a very hot early pace that collapsed, and last time out he had no chance after he was squeezed coming out of the gate. He's a horse that wants to be forwardly placed, but I hear the argument that there's a lot of other pace in here, and he's going to have to work out of a trip.
New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, former New York Met Paul LaDuca downstairs. Guys, none of us on the show going with the horse who's favored right now.
Well, I just want to be clear. I don't think Paul LaDuca picked Rooftop View in this race, considering you spent about 5 minutes off camera asking me why the horse was 9-1 and not 99-1.
Yeah, I think the one should be a lot higher. That was my mistake. My check mark was on this horse, the 7. And I get the horse is taking a ton of money. I wouldn't bet the horse at 5-2 because I just don't think you should take 5-2 on a horse that runs races upside down. And what I mean, he's going to be last, and he's going to have to make up ground late. Those are bad propositions.
Yeah, I mean, I get the argument for him, and I think he'll blow out to 7-2 by post time. We're looking. You got to look at the multi-race bets. The late money is so big around here. So much of it comes in. 7-2, 4-1 is fair on him. I think you're hoping for 5 or 6. There's a way he wins. The race falls apart, and Mowbridge doesn't run his race, and it's a real possibility.
Yeah, and the thing is when you're projecting that, obviously we're always projecting pace, we're always projecting, but when you bet horses that need something to happen for them as the favorite, it's a losing proposition. That's why the 7 now is floated to 7-2, and the money's now gone to damage control.
And it's funny because Gabby and I sort of had a dog chasing its tail argument on Talking Horses today because she likes the 2, and I kept saying to her, well, okay, I get the 2. He can win. I picked him second, but he can't win without the lead, and what about the 4? And she said, well, you like the 6. He can't win without the lead. What about the 2 and the 4 and the 8? And she's right about that, too. And it's possible, Gabby, that we both have horses that need the lead to win, and it's possible neither of us get it, and it's also possible one of our 2 horses does get the lead.
There's a lot of possibilities in this race, that's for sure. We try to handicap pace a lot of the time, and to me, it looks like it's going to be a contentious pace up front. There's several need the lead types of horses. However, if one gets out there by itself, other speed types don't break well, we could see a wire-to-wire winner. But on paper, Greg, it kind of does look like it might help some of these closers like Mowbridge.
Yeah, the 2, the 4, the 6, the 8, they all want to go to the front. Irad Ortiz Jr., he is taking over on the 6, Gabby. Damage control, and that horse now the favorite. You got to figure he's going to be more aggressive, right, with this horse today?
I'd imagine. He has an outside post position. Last time out, it didn't work. He just doesn't look like a horse that likes to pass horses late. So I'd imagine, and we'll see him more forwardly placed today.
There is Rooftop View loading in with Manny Franco. Mowbridge, the 3, the 7, Irish Prayer, the logical horses to sit off the pace and maybe collect a win. And if his wicked up front. We're going to see how it plays out right now. Let's send it upstairs for the call to the voice of New York Racing, Larry Colmus.
Mowbridge up to stall 3. Currently the 5-2 second choice to Damage Control. As Crafty Concord steps up to the starting gate. Mowbridge just went down to 2-1. Damage Control still a slight 2-1 favorite. Now moving into line, here comes Irish Prayer, and XXX will be the last one to load. XXX going in. They're all in line. They're off. Good start by Mobridge, and there goes Damage Control, and between those two, Crafty Concord, and XXX is sent along on the far outside. No texting, off the pace here with Irish Prayer second last, and Rooftop View trails the field, rushing into that turn. And it is going to be Damage Control to make the front here, and XXX will take on Damage Control. Crafty Concord in a bit of trouble on that turn. We'll have to sit back and run in third to the backstretch over Mobridge. No texting, Rooftop View, and Irish Prayer. The first quarter was a contentious 23.07 seconds as two of them go at it. Damage Control and XXX pouring on the pressure on the outside second. Crafty Concord is 2 lengths off of them. Mobridge rides the rail in fourth. No texting fifth on the outside from Rooftop View. And Irish Prayer continues to race 7 lengths off the lead at the rear of the field. The half was 46.77, and they're racing for the far turn. Damage Control hounded by XXX, who's a half length behind. Mobridge going strong behind them, but needs a way through. Then Crafty Concord on the far outside. No texting's going to have to come 5 wide. Then Rooftop View. They're into the stretch, and here comes Mobridge now. Mobridge to the front with 1 furlong to run. From the back of the pack, No Texting is trying to come on in second. Rooftop View's running on 2, and giving way on the inside is Damage Control. It is Mobridge. No Texting, a length and a half behind, cutting into the gap, but won't get to Mobridge. Mobridge by 3/4 of a length in the end over No Texting. Then it was Damage Control and Rooftop View. 1 minute 34.8 was the final time.
Mobridge gets the win here. Bill Mott goes back-to-back. Jose Lezcano aboard for the winning ride.
Just a perfect trip for Jose Lezcano on Mobridge. He got that coveted position in the pocket, saving ground. They were going fast up front. I liked the aggressive ride by Irod Ortiz. He had no choice with the 6 to do it. Yeah. Gabby was right that No Texting is running well from behind, but No Texting doesn't want to pass enough in the stretch to get the win, Paul.
Yeah, you make a good point there. No Texting, I thought Luis Saez did a great job at taking that horse off the pace, because last time he was able to pass horses, but Mobridge just sat the trip again, Gabby. We talked about it last time. Okay, his trip was like negotiable, right? Did he have to go quick or not? Today, he sat a way better trip than last time and got the job done.
And for a turf horse, that's exactly what you want. You want a horse that has versatility. Look, he's a horse that won on the lead or close to the pace last time out. Today, he had the option and opportunity to stalk from off of the pace. There was a lot going on going into the first turn, but we saw that pace be pretty contentious up front and set up perfectly for Mobridge. And you're right, guys, No Texting. He ran very well closing from off of it, but he swapped leads late and just didn't have that will to pass Mobridge in the late stages.
3-2-6-1. Mobridge gets the win, winds up going off as your second choice here. 2-1 on the board for the victory. Bill Motley, Einsadler, Jose Lezcano, your winning connections. And Mobridge going back-to-back as you get a look at your Hall of Fame trainer having a nice Wednesday afternoon here. Our feature coming up next, Fairyland was brilliant in her debut. She had blinkers on for that, a clerical error on the trainer's part of Wesley Ward. Couldn't wear them at Royal Ascot. They are back on this afternoon. We'll be back.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
Eclipse Award winner Blaine retired to stud with more than $4.3 million in earnings, including a historic victory over Zenyatta in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Now he's making a name for himself as an internationally successful stallion. In 2017, his top runners include stakes winner No Fault of Mine, Japanese star Resonator, and classic winner Singa, the dominant victor of this year's Grade 1 French Oaks, Blaine at Claiborne Farm.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new Naira Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish. From a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. Naira Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download Naira Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before. Back here on Saratoga Live and in the winner's circle, it is Mobridge, the 7-year-old son of Indigo Shiner. Back-to-back wins after winning at Belmont back on June the 29th. Returned $6.70 for the win. 3-2-6 finish here in race 8. And I know this had to feel real good for the man standing by with Maggie, who's deep friendship with trainer Bill Mott.
That's right, Greg. Here with Lee Einseidler of LRE Racing. And Lee, Mobridge, a horse that's he's kind of dominating this New York bred 25, and he got a nice trip here once again.
Yeah, he got a great trip today. They were going a little fast up front, and Jose rode him perfect. You know, the previous race that he won down at Belmont, there was no speed. He sat behind the speed today, and he's always a good finisher, Maggie.
And he's a horse that you've had a very long relationship with. You picked him out yourself at the Saratoga yearling sale, and talk about naming him Mobridge.
So I picked him out, and everybody was laughing at me. What did I know about picking out horses? But I liked them. And the next morning, I brought Bill Mott over to see him. And I said, I got a great name if you let me. He said, what do you have? I said, let's name him Mobridge. And Bill Mott is from Mobridge, South Dakota, and I thought it was a great name. He said that would be fabulous, and he's just been a lot of fun. And
he's a horse that he's a 7-year-old now. I think you're the only owner that's come down and said to me, man, he'll make a great pony someday. Just speaks of your affection that you do have for Mobridge.
Oh, I love him. He's such a laid-back horse. He's so cool. He's so great to be around. But, you know, you bring him in the paddock and you put the saddle on, and he knows it's showtime.
Lee, you're one of our favorites here on the show. Congratulations. Love to see you in the winner's circle.
Thanks, Maggie. Great to be here.
All right, Greg.
Well, great to see Lee Einseidler there with a win. And Mobridge, as a 7-year-old, maybe the best he's ever been in his career.
Absolutely. That's pretty cool. And, you know, it just shows the passion that he has for the game and the love that he has for Mobridge. That's pretty cool that he got to pick him out at the sale. Good story.
Yeah, he actually teamed up with Bill Mott. They won Maker's Mark Mile back in 2009 with a horse named Mr. Sydney that they had to be really patient with. Horse had to go through successful surgery, switch to the grass, and a lot of patience with that horse. But they'd had great success over the years. Well, our next race coming out, we told you briefly here the story about Fairyland. She wore blinkers first time out. She aired at Keeneland for trainer Wesley Ward as we take a look here at the field for our feature, the Bolton Landing. She then was so impressive, Wesley Ward said, I'm going to bring her as part of my string to Royal Ascot. He failed to notify the Ascot officials that he wanted her to run in blinkers, so she was not able to wear them. Things did not go well at all in that race, but today they will be back on here in the Bolton Landing. What exactly do blinkers do for a horse? Maggie Wolfendale tells us in Playing from the Paddock.
At this Saratoga meeting, we'll start things off So a lot of times you see that equipment change, either blinkers on or blinkers off, denoted in the program or form. But let's talk about the different kinds of blinkers that we see. First, we'll begin with just a shortcut blinker, and hopefully my equine model here, Troublemaker, will behave. And this is just a shortcut blinker that just kind of focuses a horse's attention. Horses have that degree of vision where they can see all the way behind them, basically, and there's a narrow piece in front of them where they can't see until a certain amount of feet. So what this is doing is just blocking his vision from behind. So it'll encourage a horse to kind of focus and just run forward. Now these set of blinkers do have a hole here, so we can see a little bit of what's going on behind him, but it's just a kind of blinker that doesn't cause that much difference in a horse's running style other than to just focus. All right, now this is the next kind of most common blinker that you see. So it's a 3/4 cup. It's covering a little bit more of the eye. Once again, this one has a hole, so the horse can see a little bit behind him, but he's not gonna be able to see quite as much to the outside as either. The horse is kind of around him. So it's even more of a blinker to encourage a horse to go forward. All right, now this pair is called a full cup blinker. I mean, the horse cannot see anything to the side or behind him. So when these kind of blinkers go on, I think a lot of trainers are trying to elicit some speed from their horses. So it's just go and run as fast as you can. So they're not waiting on any other horses. They're not intimidated by any other horses running around them. And really, they're the pair that make them go forward in a quick kind of fashion. Now this is the type of blinker that, well, throws up some red flags occasionally. It's an extension blinker, so it's completely covering the right eye. Sometimes, and very rarely, you'll see it covering their left eye. But a lot of times it's for horses who want to lug out. You'll see that comment line, and maybe the next time they run, they'll have blinkers on and they'll have a set of extension blinkers on. And I don't like to see it because I think it's a Band-Aid covering up a bigger issue. But some horses, a few, respond well to it, and it encourages them to run in a straight line instead of lugging out or lugging in.
Well, there is Fairyland. So those blinkers are back on this afternoon in her return to the States after the flop at Royal Ascot. Maggie Wolfendale going to have more for us on what that means for Fairyland and the equipment going back on this afternoon when we return. The Bolton Landing, our feature, coming up next.
How do I see New York bred performance? Like this.
Disco.
Here's New York sire Disco Partner setting a new world record in the Jaipur.
Holy mackerel.
And they perform like multiple Grade 1 winner Mind Your Biscuits.
And he's pouring it on late.
Shown here, winning the Belmont Sprint Championship. And New York breds perform in the sales ring, where this filly sold for $750,000. Look for your registered New York performer at upcoming auctions.
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NyraBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
Back on Saratoga Live. Thanks for being with us. Our Bolton Landing feature race coming up next. We want to remind everyone every day of the meet, NYRA Bet's offering a 10% winner's bonus on a trifecta bet on a selected Saratoga Stakes. Today it is the Bolton Landing. Use your mobile device in this upcoming stakes race and earn that 10% bonus. If you hit the trifecta, you can see the full schedule and bet Saratoga Racing and over 200 other tracks nationwide at NYRABets.com. Let's get back to Fairyland and that equipment situation with Wesley Ward's filly. With more, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
And Greg, in her debut, which was a winning one, a pretty impressive winning one on the dirt, on the main track, Fairyland wore a similar type to this. Now, she's wearing the same type of shortcut cheater blinker once again today, as those blinkers do go back on. As you heard Greg say, a little bit of a kind of, issue with declaring the blinkers on at Ascot, and she wasn't able to wear them. And I noticed that Ascot, it's obviously very different from what she was used to in running around ovals. She was running in a straight line. Furthermore, that gate is enormous, and she was one of the last ones in, but she was in the middle of the pack. And going back to her debut where she was posted towards the outside and one of the last ones in as well, she's kind of used to that. I mean, that's what she's used to. So she broke very alertly. Obviously, they also had that kind of saddling issue where she had to be reset down at the start. So that kind of threw her off her game. I think she's a filly that maybe just didn't handle the newness of Ascot, and she was used to training here in the States. It's a lot to ask of a 2-year-old filly. You have to really be top class, top notch to handle it, as we've seen Wesley be able to do with such horses as Lady Aurelia. But Fairyland returns to the turf here at Saratoga in the state. So we'll see what she does. As far as I can work out, she's a bigger, solid, physically mature filly. She's handling herself well mentally here too. We'll see. Obviously, her one win, it came on the main track. Is she a true out-and-out turf filly? To me, she looks as though she should handle it pretty nice. But a filly coming in here as well for trainer Mark Cassie, a Sly Beauty, and she beat the boys last time, Andy.
She beat the boys, and she did it impressively. She's going to be the favorite in this race, looking at doubles. She's going to be a real favorite here. I get it. My problem is, Paul, this stat where the Cassie barn, off of a win in turf sprints, they are just 3 for 48 with a 33-cent ROI over the last 5 years. It doesn't inspire confidence. They run back to that race, and she's probably going to have to move forward to win.
Yeah, the thing that you have to like about the race is sometimes we look at bunched up races and think those are good races. It's a complete opposite. She won by 4.5 that day, 6 1/4 lengths clear of the second place finisher, and this is just what you would call a canter in the park. That's what makes this filly so dangerous. She was 75 cents on the dollar on this day. She was 70 cents on the dollar, and her first start was legit. She broke very badly, but the way she spread this field out, I think she's got a real chance.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm very impressed by the race she ran. I think she probably is the right favorite in this race.
With you.
Off that effort. The problem is I just don't trust off that stat. Now, the one Fairyland, and Maggie was talking about it, I love to hear that she thinks she's going to like the turf. I have a hard time believing that Wesley Ward and the Tabor Magnier connection would have shipped this horse over to Ascot unless they were confident she was a turf horse. She didn't run, but she's talented, and they're coming right back to the turf. And I think they used the same tactic when they won this race last year with Conti Portiro.
Yeah, and they're going to try to go to the front end. When you look at the Keeneland Spring Meet, the two best fillies, or the two best winners, were this horse right here, Fairyland, and the outside horse, Buy, Sell, Hold, for Steve Asmussen, who's going to try the turf for the first time. But, Julio Garcia was a statue on this day. The horse that ran, actually, it was a dead heat for second, but the horse that was stuck in there, Wacky Patriot for John Hancock, is a nice little runner. So Fairyland, she breaks a little bit better today. She's a contender.
Yeah, I think she's a big player. Now, Todd Pletcher has 2. March X Express, the 5, is the one with turf experience. If you watch her first race, you watch the start, she breaks 2 to 3 lengths slow, and I think we might show that at some point. After that, I thought Jose Ortiz gave her an absolutely brilliant ride. He got her quiet after the start, after you're going to see her getting left. He saved ground. He angled her out, and she's the 7 horse. She broke 2 to 3 behind the field. But after that, she got an absolutely dream trip and a great ride in a race that might be a little slow. So what do you do with her overall?
That's the worry. How good is this race? But I'll tell you what, she's running like she stole something at the end of this race. Watch this. Her hair is on fire, Gabby. We were talking about this yesterday. I mean, look at her. She absolutely rolls by this horse. We've got a clear lead here now.
I agree. Listen, the third horse came back in a route race, but came back and improved her by her figure 18 points, which suggests the race might be better than we think it is. I think it's there's some good and bad, but I think she's overbet because people were so enthralled by the fact that she got left.
I do agree with that. Those kind of horses get overbet, but you can't take away that was a phenomenal performance.
Oh, she can win this race.
Oh, yeah.
I used her. You used her.
And looking at March Express there in the paddock, I think that she's taking money right now primarily because of how she won that race. People love to see visually horses making up that kind of ground, especially in turf sprints. And she might not run like that again here today, just considering she had a poor beginning last time out. But this is a tough race, and for the one Fairyland, well, I think she's going to probably show speed out of the gate, unlike Conte Patiro, who closed last year for Wesley Ward.
Came from actually well out of it to get that win last year. And, of course, she would go on to win at this year's Royal Ascot meet in the Sandringham handicap. Meanwhile, taking a look there at Sugar Queen, she opened as your favorite for Todd Pletcher. One of two in the race. He's got the favorite, and he's got a horse who's right behind that one as the favorite next door in post 5 and 6. Meanwhile, with more on this field, we're going to go downstairs to Maggie.
Greg, thank you. And I'm wondering if people are liking March Express, too, due to the fact that there appears to be some speed here in this race. And one of them that does have some of that speed is number 3, Sly Beauty, who does come in here after a dominating performance over the boys at Woodbine. She's a little bit on the smaller side, the unassuming side. She was a little bit obstreperous to get the tack on, but with the accompaniment of the pony and doing it on the walk, they haven't had a problem thus far. I like these into mischiefs in these kind of spots. We'll see, though. Like I said, at a short price, from the physical sense, I'd be looking to take somebody else. Now, Todd Pletcher sending out the 2 in here. Sugar Queen is the one without turf experience, though they wanted to get her on the turf last time, in which she did win, and she showed a dimension that she can rate and close. She looks like a filly, too, that should eventually appreciate more ground. Now, once again, she is sticking with the 5.5 furlongs, but she's a very kind of long, scopier type where she should be able to handle the turf. Look, she's not overly, convincing with it, but given the running style, given the fact I think she can stalk here, she might be effective. Now, one that's a little bit more convincing is number 8, Buy, Sell, Hold, who, coming off of that effort in the Schuylerville, where she was disappointing after being pressed, and Dream It Is, I think, is a very talented runner who stole that race. Looking at her, Buy, Sell, Hold is a lot more on the muscle. She's very quiet, kind of almost like in a fog here in the paddock in her debut here at the Spa, at least. So I think she's very intriguing. She does have more of a turf hoof to me. She's got those slacker pasterns. She's intriguing. She'll break from the outside here for trainer Steve Asmussen. But Gabby, what could you make of Buy, Sell, Hold in trying the turf for the first time?
Well, it's interesting that you're talking about her, Maggie, because if you look at her pedigree, she is by Violence on the bottom side. She's the first foal out of a mare that never tried turf. But watching her performances in all 3 of her career starts, she almost carries her feet a little bit lower to the ground, a daisy cutter, so to speak. So she doesn't really have that high knee action, but it almost makes me think that she might skip over the turf quite nicely. So I'm curious to see that you do like her there in the paddock and thinking that she might have ability on the turf. But I did subsequently land on the 6 in here, Sugar Queen, and it's primarily because we've seen her just have so much versatility in her form, and that she can do it closer to the lead. She can close from off of it as well. And that's a look at the 6 Sugar Queen. She also has been breezing on the turf in her past 2 workouts in prep for this race. And Todd, well, he tried to get her to the turf last time out.
Yeah, that was a race that was washed off, and actually it was interesting. Both Fairyland and Sly Beauty were in that race. They decided to pass on the race, and Sugar Queen stayed in, wound up winning it by 4 lengths.
And she obviously is proven on the dirt, so rightly so that we saw her stay in that field for Todd Pletcher. But looking at her pedigree, she is by Gemologist on the bottom side. She's a half-2, a turf winner. So there's pedigree to suggest it. I just like what she's done in all 3 of her career starts thus far. And she liked the sealed surface last time out, which often translates to the turf.
There's Flaunt Giroux. He's going to get a leg up on Buy, Sell, Hold. She is a granddaughter of Lady Tack, who was a multiple Grade 1 winner in her career. She actually set a stakes record in both the Test in 2003 and the Ballerina in 2004 here at Saratoga.
That's a very nice pedigree, and she is quick, that's for sure.
Post parade coming up for our feature. 5.5 furlongs here on the turf in the Bolton Landing. Our post parade brought to you by OCD Pellets, celebrating their 10th anniversary of supporting the equine industry with their 2-in-1 bone and joint supplement. For more information, you can visit OCDpellets.com. That 7-horse just leaving the screen, Lifetime Citizen. It was an intriguing race, certainly a lesser circuit, but dueled with insanely fast fractions up front. She was part of them. The other horse who was on the lead with her backed up and finished last in that race. She'd go on to win by 6 1/4. On the board at 21-1. We're going to start things off with Fairyland in here, owned by Magnier and Tabor. Wesley Ward, trainee with Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard. And again, those blinkers going back on today.
And unfortunately, she's been scratched in 2 races that had been taken off the turf, but she finally gets to the turf here today. Those blinkers coming back on for Wesley Ward.
7-2 on the board on Fairyland. Sly Beauty, we will see next. She actually beat the boys in that race at Woodbine last time out, trained by Mark Cassie, owned by Debbie Oxley and Javier Castellano aboard.
And took a step forward, getting a little bit of a distance and getting to the turf last time out. She looks to be very quick and an impressive winner last time out.
Madame X for Susan Cooney, Quest Realty, with Sheldon Russell aboard at 12-1.
The X Factor with a blowout win out of town in a slow race.
Won by 9 1/4 at Laurel. That was her debut. The 5 March Express for Todd Pletcher, Jose Ortiz for Golconda Stables.
Tried to get to the turf last time out, finally getting it today, and has 2 turf workouts recently in prep for this spot.
Sugar Queen, the other Todd Pletcher runner here, daughter of gemologist. We'll have John Velasquez aboard.
She got it done with a somewhat aggressive ride last time in an off-the-turf race. She's got to transfer the turf, a half to a weak turf winner.
Lifetime Citizen here, trained by Phil Serpy, owned by Wellspring Stables, has Luis Saez aboard.
It has a turf win. That was against Maiden Special Weight Company at Indiana Grand. We'll have to improve off of that.
And finally, Buy, Sell, Hold. The 8 here getting on the turf for the first time, trained by Steve Asmussen. Florent Giroux aboard for Kirk and Judy Robeson.
The first foal for Madame, who is a half to a very, very good dirt performer who won our test, named Lady Tack. Not a turf pedigree.
Bolton Landing, our feature. It is coming up next. We are 8 minutes to post. Stick around. We'll have it for you when we come back with more Saratoga Live.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
You're watching Saratoga Live, our feature, the Bolton Landing 2-year-old fillies, traveling 5.5 furlongs on the turf. Coming up next, we want to remind everyone to keep playing with Naira Bets after the Saratoga card comes to a conclusion with a 250,000 point all split on the 5th race at Del Mar. Bet a $10 base exacta in race 5 at Del Mar, and win or lose, you split 250,000 points. An easy way to get your Del Mar betting off to a great starts. Send it downstairs to Andy and Paul. Guys, the Todd Pletcher duo continuing to take plenty of support.
They are taking plenty of support, and we will talk about one of them in a moment. Paul has much bigger interest, though, in Madam X than I do.
Yeah, I'm a little upset upstairs with Gabby, the old Leiden Stater up there. You know, this horse won by about 9 1/4 last time out, and I love the way that she won. Her ears were pricked. She was going back and forth. Again, she did not beat much. You know that Susan shipped in one other horse here, Carolina Shag, at about 40-some to 1 in a little $200,000 stakes race, and the horse lose the whole ball of wax by a length and a half. I think the 4 could be a player in here.
I think she calls you Mr. LaDuca, so I'm not sure that you guys should be on a first-name basis yet, though I imagine you'll be calling her a lot of good names. This horse wins because you used the horse in the Big Four. I'm not knocking long shots, and she won very easily. A question was behind her. Sugar Queen right now is taking a ton of money, and I think, and I know Gabby disagrees, and that's what makes the horse racing world go round. I don't want any part of this horse. I thought last time, she didn't get bet last time. I just don't know how good she is. And I think Todd is searching for an identity for her, trying to get in turf races because he knows she's not good enough to win any of the competitive dirt stakes going forward. So he's taking a shot within the turf, and maybe it'll work out. I don't have a problem taking a shot with her, but Gabby, I have to think you thought you'd be getting more than 5 to 2 or 3 to 1.
100%, Andy. I did not think that this filly would be taking money like that. I mean, they're proven turf sprinters. I was trying to take a shot because I thought her dirt races were okay, and there's a little suggestion for turf pedigree, but I could honestly see Andy's side of the story there. 5 to 2 is a little low.
Well, Paulie talked about Madam X, that big win at Laurel. The 7 Lifetime Citizen had a huge win in her only turf start at Indiana Grand. Set fast fractions, kept on going with more on this 2-year-old filly by Proud Citizen. Let's go to Maggie.
Yeah, when you talk about maiden scores, Greg, by open lengths, that's exactly what Lifetime Citizen did. She was lugging out a little bit around the turn there at Indiana, and I mean, that makes me a little apprehensive. I tried to get away from her as far as my visuals were concerned in the paddock and out on the track, but I couldn't. She looks very good here. She'll make her first start for trainer Phil Serpy. She has a breeze here over the Oklahoma turf course. I like the way, obviously, she's prepped for that overall. She might be a little outclassed here. I get that. That's why she's 22 to 1, but 22 to 1 shots certainly don't look as good as she does here in the flesh. I'm liking what I'm seeing from this filly. Greg?
Yeah, Maggie, thanks. You look at that race at Indiana Grand, and guys, I want to get your opinion as well, but she dueled up front, set all those fractions. The other speedster, again, wound up finishing dead last. That other speed just completely backed up, and she kept on going.
She's slow.
Yeah, that's the worry you have, right? We've had a couple horses that have come out of Indiana Grand, and you know what, Greg, we had a horse, I want to say last week, it ran a very tough time, a very good time for Brad Cox. It came out here and just sort of flopped. And I remember asking our colleague Tom Amos, what's the Indiana turf course like? He said it's rock hard. It yields fast times. I'm worried about that middle quarter. That 21-4 to 46, not fast enough for me, at least in here. But the worry you have to worry about, Wesley Ward's horses get bet. This one is not.
Well, Bacanti Petit Partero paid 7 to 1. I think she was. Now, Lowe was a big favorite in that race. There was an incident with her, to be fair. But, you know, maybe that's a bit of a concern. I think they're going, maybe part of the reason they're going so crazy for Pletcher is because the 1 is dead, is what you would be saying, at least the board.
If you want to play the name game, right, and I know Gabby likes the 6 in here, Wacky Patriot beat Sugar Queen. Who did Fairyland beat first time out? Wacky Patriot, but different ball game on dirt.
Completely different ball game. So, yeah, we're going to see for Sugar Queen, it's the turf debut. And for Fairyland, too, talking about the 1, and that's the Wesley Ward that Paul was alluding to down on the inside. The blinkers go back on as you look at Sugar Queen there in her turf debut. We'll see. Coming all the way back, you know, that's a lot of travel for a 2-year-old, going all the way to Royal Ascot. Things don't go well. She was unsettled in the race. Now it comes all the way back. But allegedly, training pretty forwardly.
And sometimes younger fillies, when they have to do all that traveling and have circumstances like that that don't always work out, it rattles them a little bit. But from watching her and from Maggie's report in the paddock, she seems to be handling herself. But mind you, Greg, this filly's been entered to run on the turf, and they've been reined off twice since Ascot. So he's wanted her to run on the turf since then.
She was entered July 24th here in an allowance race. This filly we're talking about right here, that came off. She was entered in the Colleen Stakes at Monmouth. That came off. So maybe we'll see, third time the charm.
We'll see.
There is a look at Madame X, who intrigued Paul LaDuca on the board at 13-1, and Todd Pletcher's duo. There's March Express, completely dead last in the debut and rallied from 10th to get up and win by a neck. It was an impressive visual performance. Good enough against this group? We're about to find out. Let's send it upstairs for the call of the Bolton Landing, the voice of the Triple Crown. Take it away, Larry Colmus.
March Express, who is now the tepid favorite at 5-2 moving into the starting gate, will be followed by Sugar Queen. Sugar Queen coming up to line. Last two to load will be Lifetime Citizen and Buy, Sell, Hold. Lifetime Citizen coming up. Here's Buy, Sell, Hold and Florent Giroux to the outside stall. Going in. They're all in line. They're off in the Bolton Landing. March Express off to a slow beginning. It's Fairyland out for the early lead. Buy, Sell, Hold on the outside, flashing early speed. Sly Beauty between those two. Sits back, runs third early on. Then Sugar Queen, Lifetime Citizen. And then out of last is March Express. Madame X trails the field. Fairyland up top with Buy, Sell, Hold pressing the pace on the outside. These two zip into the far turn together in 21.79 seconds. Their noses apart on the lead. Sly Beauty is running in third. Sugar Queen on the outside, fourth by 2. Lifetime Citizen follows fifth, 5 lengths from the front. And still held up here is March Express, who's got 7 lengths to make up as they come to the top of the stretch. Buy, Sell, Hold on the outside. Fairyland at the rail. These two continue to match strides on the lead. Sly Beauty is running in third. No place to go for March Express. Got bottled up. Now there's a seam now trying to come on as they race into the final 16th. Fairyland to catch. March Express exploding late on the outside. She's going to get there. March Express, another impressive win. Stopped in the stretch and still won it. And then it was Fairyland followed by Sugar Queen and Lifetime Citizen in 101.69.
Stop and go performance in the stretch from March Express. And she gets it done just up in time to get the win here in the Bolton Landing.
What a ride here by Jose Ortiz. You wonder why these two kids are 1 and 2. Watch the 5 right here, dead last on your screen, because the 4 is no consequence. He can go completely around these horses, but no, I'm going to roll the dice and save a tiny bit of ground. And he was lucky enough. Did he have to stop? Yes, but when you got the best horse, you win the race.
And my question is, how did March Express get to that through that hole? But we saw Sly Beauty kind of have to check out of there, and then Javier Castellano wrap up on her and fade to about last there. But guys, no excuses from the 6 Sugar Queen, who was posted perfectly. I thought Fairyland was posted perfectly towards the front end, but this was a gutsy move. Andy, we've seen this filly make 2 huge runs.
No, she's not afraid to go through horses, and you don't see that from a lot of young horses. And as you say, it was a very gutsy ride by Jose and a confident ride. You know, Fairyland ran. It's not as though Fairyland was falling apart and this horse just picked the piece at the end, because Fairyland seemed to be setting a pretty controlled pace. 21.79, effectively 21 and 4/5. It's not that fast. We saw 21 and 2 earlier. I think Fairyland was moving along. This horse just ran her down.
No, I'm with you. I think Fairyland ran her down. You got to give credit to the 6. Great call by Gabby, too, because I thought the 6 ran well. She's the one that got sort of pushed out a little bit. And Gabby, if I'm not mistaken, I think she's the kind of horse that sort of grinds away, that might appreciate going a little distance to ground next time.
We could see it. At first, though, Paul, I was curious to see, or it didn't really look like she was handling the surface at first, and then coming down the stretch, she started to swap back and forth on her lead. So we'll see where she winds up next. But Todd, that man right there, he's got a nice little turf sprinter on his hands by Shanghai Bobby.
Yes, he does, and it was she almost seemed to take somewhat of a weird step, and then almost a pause as she was running, and then just re-engaged and been able to get it done here. So 2 for 2 in both of her wins. Little drama. 5-1, 6-7 March Express. Impressive in the Bolton Landing. We'll be back to wrap it up. We still have the nightcap to come as well.
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NyraBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
Grade 1 winner Data Link by world-renowned sire Warfront. Data Link scored in the prestigious Grade 1 Makers 46 Mile at Keeneland. Then set a new course record in the Grade 2 Monmouth Stakes. With a pedigree free of Mr. Prospector in the first 4 generations, Data Link is the perfect outcross option. His first weanlings turned heads, selling well above the stud fee. Data Link at Claiborne Farm.
You're watching Saratoga Live and March Express. Another impressive performance here. 2 for 2 to start out her career. 2 victories on the grass, including a win here in the Bolton Landing. Returned $6.80 for the win. That's 3 wins today for jockey Jose Ortiz. Send it downstairs to Maggie for more.
And here with one part of Golconda Stables, it's Ben Goldman. And Ben, March Express, your first horse, your only horse, and she's won twice.
I'm speechless. All I could say is I have the best guy in the world who put us into this. His name is Brad Weisbord, the one and only, and obviously being with Todd Pletcher, I don't think could get better than this. So I feel very lucky.
How'd you get matched up with Mr. Weisbord?
He's actually my wife's best friend from childhood. They're as close as can be, still close as can be. Unfortunately, my wife couldn't be here. She got 2 kids at home, so she had to watch them. But hopefully we got many more races to come, and we're very excited.
Now, were you a part in purchasing March Express? She's a daughter of Shanghai Bobby, or did Bradley just say, you got to get this horse?
Brad called me one morning in September and said, I got this horse. I think she's worth $95,000. That's what I'm going for. You give me permission to try to buy her? I said, of course, go for it. And now we're here. It's hard to believe.
Now, talk about her running style. She makes it certainly exciting. I mean, she just comes with a burst of energy. She's gotten in trouble in both of her starts. Do you almost think that she kind of likes getting in trouble? That gives a little fight to her?
I think she likes to be in the back, and then she got that breakaway speed at the end, and clearly she's proven the last 2 times she could blow away the pack. So it's exciting.
Well, Ben, congratulations. You have a nice little New York bred on your hands.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Maggie thinks she certainly does make it exciting, but what about that? First time out of the box with a horse like this who winds up winning a stake at Saratoga. Not bad.
There are owners that spend a lifetime in this game and can't get a victory, a stakes win at Saratoga, and, well, he got it right away. Congratulations. That's huge.
We still have another race to come. Our nightcap is a $20,000 maiden climbing event here at 7 furlongs. It is IRST. Todd Pletcher will look to go back-to-back. He's actually got 2 in the race. He'll send out that 3 horse. He also has Britain. For IRST, though, it's a big drop in class. First time in for a claiming tag.
Yes, the last time we saw this horse was on the turf, actually. So going from turf to dirt today and going from maiden special weight company to that maiden $20,000 tag.
I want to remind everybody to get social with us on Twitter. Those are our Twitter handles. And, of course, we encourage you to use the hashtag Saratoga Live. Let us know what's happening around town or in the industry or out here at Saratoga Springs. Let's kick things off here with what's trending in the game. And Claire Novak, Blood Horse, 5-time Grade 1 winning Lady Eli will be offered for sale by Hillendale Sales Agency. Consignment at the Keeneland November sale after her Breeders' Cup bid. She'll be, of course, going in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. 5-time Grade 1 winner. She has won at least one Grade 1 in each of her 4 seasons of racing.
And this was her taking the Grade 1 Diana last year, and an incredible story overcoming her bout with laminitis and coming back to win multiple Grade 1s. She has been a phenomenal horse to follow throughout her career this far.
And her trainer, Chad Brown, he said, I think she's actually one of the all-time great turf mares ever. First or second in all 12 career starts. And we have the privilege to see her on this show in her Diana victory earlier on in the meet.
She's got a little attitude. You could see Irad going down to give her a little kiss, and she didn't want any bit of that. But
also trending, Jimmy Jerkins on Holy Helena in the Alabama. This quality of fillies a lot better than what she ran against in the Woodbine Oaks. Of course, she would go on to win out of the Oaks the first leg of that Canadian Triple Crown, beating the boys in that spot as well, and winning pretty convincingly at that 1.25 miles.
She has done everything that the connections have asked her to do. She's won going 1 1/16 on the dirt. She's gone on to win on all the weather up there at Woodbine facing fillies, and then she went on to beat the boys as well. And this was an impressive win, Greg, in that she just kind of kept on adding to that margin of victory late, so she can run on anything.
And guys, we're going to check in with the guys downstairs on this as we look at the field here for the Alabama, but Holy Helena and, even though it's on turf, New Money Honey, both already proven at 1.25 miles, which you don't really get coming into this race usually.
No, 1.25 miles, absolutely. Be the fact that they both won 1.25 miles, but on a different surface. And Holy Helena is a very good horse.
Yeah.
But this is a tougher field than even the Queen's Plate where she ran. And I was even talking to Jimmy Jerkins about this a little bit earlier. As he said, we were laughing a little. She got an 86 buyer, 85 buyer. She broke her maiden in the dirt. Of course, she beat as a lifetime maiden for Jimmy Bond, and she's more of a 70 buyer type. So we want to see what she can do. But she is talented.
No, she's very, very talented. And when you win a Queen's Plate and you win those type of races and you're a filly beating the boys. Now, we've seen this happen before up in Canada. The fillies do, for some reason, when they get that extra time from the Kentucky Derby up there in Toronto, they run well. Now, to take nothing away from her, she's going to be tough in here. The 1.25 miles is going to help her out. The other horses in here that have gone 1.25 miles, I'm with you. New Money Honey, these horses are trying something new. They're going to have to prove it, but at least you know they can get the distance.
Right. Now, listen, obviously, if Chad Brown is taking a chance like this, you respect that. It's Chad Brown. He's very smart.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do that very often. And he has been saying for quite a while that he feels that New Money Honey deserves a chance in a big race in the dirt. She may have to improve, though, from the turf,
Yeah.
the dirt, to win this. And that's not going to be an easy thing to do. She's obviously, though, a very talented horse, and she ran extremely well to win at Belmont.
No, she's talented. And she's got what? She's got that swing pedigree. Medaglia d'Oro, obviously a great horse on the dirt. Probably one of the most underrated horses because he danced a lot of dances. But they can go both ways. These horses never really gone over the dirt, or she's never really run over the dirt. We'll see what happens. It's very interesting. And then we can't leave out a late. You know, we talked a little bit earlier. I was able to talk to Bob about Arrogate. I asked him about Abel Tasman. He goes, she's doing phenomenal. I wanted to come back here, but I felt with the saltiness of the field, no pun intended, because Salty's got a shot, that he wanted to save a bullet because he thinks she'll be better for the Breeders' Cup because he thinks this race is really tough and might take a lot out of her.
It is a very tough race, no doubt about it. And the horse to beat might end up being Unchained Melody for Brian Lynch because I've been looking through the PPs a little bit and just doing some preliminary work. She looks like the controlling speed. And if you watch her in the Mother Goose, and she beat Lockdown. Now, Lockdown did stumble a bit at the start.
Yeah, she did a little bit.
But I tell you, they were moving up front. And, Paul, just take a look at this horse. They come to her in the stretch, and it's like she switches to another gear.
Yeah, she has like a no passing zone. That's what I call it with these type of horses. You can see when she switched leads, but look at her ears. Focus on that, the attentiveness. She's waiting on the command of her rider, and the rider's just hitting her once. Is her tail flailing a little bit? Her tail's flailing because she's like, okay, quit hitting me. I've won this race already. It's going to be very interesting what happens between her and a late because I think a late is starting to round back into form.
This is one of the best Alabamas, Greg, we've had in a long time.
So many tremendous storylines in this race. It's going to be sensational. I mean, Breeders' Cup, Juvenile Fillies Turf winner who just won a Grade 1, the Belmont Oaks, are going to say, oh, let's try dirt instead. She's the leader of her division. Horse who just beat the boys in the first leg of the Canadian Triple Crown. Unchained Melody looks like she could be a potential superstar. You don't want to miss it. It's coming up this Saturday here at Saratoga. Of course, Songbird won this race last year. This, though, is a deeper, more competitive field. It's going to be a lot of fun.
She kind of stood out. Songbird stood out from the field last year, but woo, it's going to be a tremendous betting race, not only a tremendous race to actually watch.
Well, we have some sad news to pass along right now with the loss of trainer David Whiteley. He was a three-time Hall of Fame nominee each of the last 3 years. He died Saturday of natural causes at the age of 73. That was in Camden, South Carolina. Chained 3 champions himself. Of course, he was the son of Hall of Famer Frank Whiteley, who was the trainer of Ruffian, Damascus, and Forgo. And, of course, Andy, one of the big ones for me, upset Spectacular Bid in the 1979 Belmont with Coastal.
Yeah, and I was there that day, and I bet Coastal, actually. He was a wonderful racehorse. He was just running in the shadow of Spectacular Bid. He finished a close third to him, actually, in the Marlboro Cup. And David Whiteley, back in those days, 70s into the early 80s, he was just a dominant trainer. He didn't have a lot of horses in his barn, but he won with them, and he won with all of them. He had some remarkable years. I think he won $1.7 million one year. That was a lot back in those days with only a handful of starters, like less than 100 starters. He had Revideer, who was a half to Ruffian. She won the Coach American Oaks, beat the Mighty Optimistic Gal, a Leroy Jolly horse, and he was a bit of a giant killer himself, but he was a trainer who won a lot of big races with some very nice horses.
Winning the Marlboro Cup is sort of a hunch play for him, huh?
But David Whiteley, of course, Frank Whiteley's son, and Frank Whiteley, a legend in this game. But David Whiteley's accomplishments, Greg, were many.
Incredible career, and again, passing away at the age of 73 on Saturday of natural causes. We're going to take a break in the action. We'll be back with more Saratoga Live next.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new Naira Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish. From a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. Naira Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download Naira Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before.
You're watching Saratoga Live on MSG Plus, Fox Sports Prime Ticket, and Altitude Network. Our Saratoga Showdown online contest. You can enter each and every day. Go to SaratogaShowdown.com or Naira.com, and you can win Naira wagering points. Also get an entry for a 2018 Belmont Stakes prize package valued at over $2,000. Who's doing what? In the contest, we got a tie. 4-way tie, and take the red eye. 4 goes 60, rolling. Is it Break, Jay and Benny? All in the mix.
Yeah, and this race is going to be difficult. We do have a likely heavy favorite in the 3 IRST, but it's kind of confusing, so good luck to all going in.
Nobody with great form in this race at all. Anything can happen. The race has that kind of feel, but yes, it is IRST. One of 2 in here for Todd Pletcher, who is currently favored on the board, but with some other runners to talk about. Let's check in with Maggie.
And Greg, for maiden 20, this is probably the best looking group you'll ever see for a maiden 20, probably given the fact that there's some Tappet, some Unbridled Songs, some Uncle Mo's, all up for sale here. But we'll check in with maybe a hometown kind of hero, Progeny and Birdstone. That's number 4, Presidential Bird for Robertino Diodoro. Now, a lot of times we see these horses that this barn claims they'll improve, but this guy has not. His 2 prior efforts before going in the barn were pretty good. I don't know if he's up to kind of running the races that IRST has, created. If he can get back to those, he will be tough here. But Presidential Bird probably has some excuses. In his first start for the barn, it was on a sloppy track, and then they try to stretch him out here. He also drops down and cuts in half for what he was claimed for. This horse, once again, looks very good. And I think from a physical standpoint, the 7-8 should fit him down to a T. He has good energy here, as well as he does come off a little bit of a freshening. I think the barn will be able to turn around Presidential Bird's form here today as he gets on a fast track as well. Moving on to a total wild card in number 8, Headliner. He's the son of Tappet here, comes in as a new gelding for trainer Ron Moquette, as well as being the owner. And this is a big, good-looking guy. Obviously, maybe he hasn't panned out from that $250,000 purchase price that they paid up for him going 2 years ago. But he comes in here fit. He comes in here sharp. I'm just wondering, at a price, as a new gelding, he might be able to make some noise here in what might be a wide-open field if you don't like IRST. Paul, Andy, do you?
I think he's the horse to beat IRST, along with Britain, the other Todd Pletcher horse.
Is he getting RESP-CT?
I don't know. I'm just glad I don't have to call it. I'm going to call him the 3 horse from now on.
Same here.
The son of Union Rags for Todd Pletcher, who's actually tied with Chad Brown now for the trainer's title. And Todd's certainly got a strong hand here because he has the speed in Britain who could clear the lead and wire this field, and he's got IRST. He is who he is. He's dropping him down significantly. He's the horse to beat in this race, but he's far from enthralling.
Enthralling is the perfect word because he's the type of horse in here that could just crush this field. We saw a Todd Pletcher runner the other day. They paid $250,000 for. They dropped for $40,000. We knocked the horse up and down. He won easy. They paid $180,000 for this one. They dropped for $20,000. Now, Maggie made a good point. The 1's the son of Tisnow. The 2's the son of Uncle Mo. The 5's the son of Tisnow. The 6 is the son of Unbridled Song. These are horses. The 8 is the son of Tappet. These are horses that stand for a lot of money. So a lot of horses are dropping here.
You know what? It doesn't matter what they cost once.
It's true.
They're all worth $20,000 now. It's the $20,000 store. Let's take a look at the 5 Britain. Britain may not have liked the slop last time, and to be fair, it was 4 wide, and even though it was sloppy, the inside was the place to be. The winner was a long shot, came up the rail. Time before that completely stopped, but was going a mile, though it's 7 furlongs today. But what Britain can be is the lone speed in this race, and that makes him dangerous. I don't think he's that significantly less likely to win than the son of Union Rags, the number 3.
Yeah, the celebrity chef Bobby Flay, the owner of the 5. Usually he sticks to fillies. He probably wish he would have stuck to Philly when he bought this one. The horse got pressured a little bit too back and then a little bit. And I got to the front, and I'm with you. I thought ran okay. I think the other Pletcher on the screen right there is your better proposition just because The way Todd's been playing a little poker in here, and I think he's taking it maybe a little personal that Chad buried him last year. He's trying to win some races.
He's running a lot of numbers up here, and a lot of horse in some of these lower level races are winning. I do want to talk about Shot, a horse that both Gabby and I picked on Talking Horses today. I think we both have the same feeling. We're just trying to beat these Todd horses that are not thrilling and taking a lot of money. He's no bargain at 4-1, but Shot is second off a layoff and was involved in a very fast pace going a mile last time.
No, and if you look at his races 3 back when he did run the 7 for a long distance, Gabby, I thought Samuel Camacho could have given him a better ride. He should have been 2nd or 3rd that day.
Well, he's a horse that, off of that freshening, guys, back in July, he came back and showed a lot of improved speed. He was part of that early pace that fell apart. So with that and the cutback in distance and with the lack of overall pace in here, other than the 5 Britain who will be forwardly placed, I think you really got to pay attention to this one.
4-1 on the board on Shot as the horses make their way onto the track here. Post parade coming up momentarily. 2-1 favorite. One of the 2 for Todd Pletcher, IRST. And a fairly solid favorite right now as you hear the call to post behind us. There's a look at Dublin Express, 19-1 on the board. Actually has a race couple back. If he could repeat that, he'd be in the mix, but it's very rare that we see him repeat that kind of race.
Not very fast.
No, he's not. Here is Headliner. Is going to kick off the post parade here. This is the 8 Luis Saez, Ron Moquette, and this one in for a tag for the first time.
Yeah, a lot of changes here. Ron Moquette, the trainer owns this one too. First time gelding, off a little bit of a layoff, but still needs to improve. Was 85-1 last time.
14-1 this afternoon. Here is the one arch rival, Luis Reyes for D. Wayne Lucas.
I think this is a long shot to try it again for 3rd or 4th, turning back from route races to a sprint and dropping.
Borsavento we will see next. And here is the 2, Tyler Gaffleone riding for trainer Nick Zito.
This is a horse I think is going to lay back a little bit today. I think towards the pace last time sort of flattened out. Maybe he can make one run today. He's got a couple races that could win this.
Here's IRST, our favorite at 2-1. Todd Pletcher, Robert LaPinta, Javier Castellano team up.
Going maiden special weight to maiden claimer turf to dirt, Todd Pletcher is 10 for 21 with almost a $4 ROI over the last 5 years.
10-1 on Presidential Bird, Angel Arroyo for Robertino Diodoro.
Maggie Wolfendale talking in the pack. This horse has not been the same in the last 2 starts, and he got gelded. Really confusing here at 10-1.
Brittany's owned by Bobby Flay, trained by Todd Pletcher. Jose Ortiz will be aboard. He's won 3 today.
We'll try to wire the field today. We'll see if he can do it.
Shot is the 6, Jose Lezcano, and the son of Unbridled Song, who went for almost $500,000 when he was sold at auction for John Kimmel.
Yeah, this horse took the blinkers off last time and actually showed more speed. I think you'll see this gray relax today and has got a big shot at 4-1.
Giant Brownie is the 7 here. Rudy Rodriguez, Irad Ortiz Jr. in the irons.
Was eased in his only dirt start, and that was the first time for Rudy. Irad sticks, though.
Headliner is the 8. Oh, sorry, we saw the 8 to start things off. Here's the 9 Dublin Express to round things out. Randy Prasad, Dylan Davis.
An underlay at 19-1.
And may wind up being a much bigger price when the gates open here, as we still have 7 minutes to post. It is still IRST. What can you do for me in the nightcap? Is it all about the favorite? We're going to find out shortly here when we come back with the finale here on Saratoga Live.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live. Finale is coming up. Fans sticking around here to see one more race here on this Wednesday afternoon. And it is, wow, 9-5 favoritism now on Todd Pletcher's IRST. But if you like a long shot, Maggie has more on this one right here.
Well, number 8 in here, Headliners, one I already talked about, but I did get a chance to catch up with trainer Ron Moquette about him, and he said, go back and watch his last replay. And I want to keep, obviously the show is a family show, but he was expressing himself in a kind of manly way when they broke from the gate. And that typically doesn't happen. So he was extremely studdish. Obviously, he was gelded there, then and thereafter. And Ron said this horse has shown the ability. He's worked with some of the better horses in his barn competitively, and we'll see. So far, so good. He got on the track. He stayed away from the ponies because he was trying to basically breed everything else that was out on the track in his previous efforts, and he has not done that. He's been a lot more focused. So we'll see if that does change his running style here at all. Moving on to a horse that I've just liked. He obviously is a little bit lacking possibly in the talent department, but that's number 5 in here, Britain, who I just liked the way he looked here once again. I like the way he galloped away beneath Jose Ortiz. We'll see. I'm going to try with Britain here one more time, guys.
4-1 on Britain, the other Todd Pletcher runner. And this one did try 20 maiden claiming most recently, same level as today, but it was a sloppy track earlier at this meet.
And this horse actually showed some speed going the mile 2 starts back again. Slightly tougher company, made in $40,000 claiming type. So I see him as the main speed, and Shot, the number 6, just to his outside, probably close to the pace as we see Shot on the screen right now. Jose Lezcano just hopped off, and he's being legged up. Once again, looks like he got back in the saddle.
I think he did that all on his own.
He could have. Well, they're athletes.
No help required for a leg up for Jose Lezcano, true horseman there. Hopping back aboard Shot, who is at 7-2 on the board. Guys, Shot, there is a look at him again, taking plenty of play here. And I know, Andy, you like this one a little bit.
A little bit would be the accurate way to put it, Greg. You know, it's hard to really love anybody in this race.
True.
I mean, I think the idea, Paul, and you and I spent a lot of time going over races like this, unless you feel like the favorite is just sort of overwhelming, you end up trying to make a case for somebody on the favorite. I don't think Shock's any bargain at 7-2 here, but I think you can make some cases for him.
Yeah, you know, you're right. When you get down to this level, you have a horse like Borsa Venta, the 2, has a race at Gulfstream, buries this field. The horse IRST has a race, first start, the 3 beats this field. Presidential Bird, second start, right now with the way these horses are in form, wins this race. So you can go on and on, but they all got clunkers where you're like, okay, where do I go?
No, I agree. And the thing with Shot is he's the old second off a layoff, and he dueled in the fast pace last time out going a mile, cuts back, drops a little bit, and he can stalk, as Gabby suggested.
Well, we saw the 9 there getting, it looked like a saddle adjustment. They've been working on this 9 here for a little bit. Dublin Express, so there he is, 28-1 as Dylan Davis patiently waits and lets the crew do their thing.
And the assistant starter's giving him a little pat on the head, keeping him calm. Looks like he's behaving himself very nicely. But, yeah, they're just making a quick saddle adjustment, it appears.
And this horse going to be making career start number 15 this afternoon. Again, couple starts back. He ran for maiden 20 at Belmont, sprinting 6 furlongs. Showed some life for the first time in a long time, but it was a very slow race that he was part of.
It looks like Dylan Davis is getting legged up back in the saddle after making that quick adjustment change, and should be loading in the gate shortly.
Biggest price on the board there at 32-1. So down to 8-5. That price just keeps getting shorter and shorter on IRST. Is now Dublin Express's jockey making some equipment adjustments with the goggles there, Dylan Davis.
He's putting his goggles back on. And IRST, he's a dicey proposition, Greg, because is this a horse that Todd Pletcher's just trying to get rid of and drop him in for the $20,000 tag, or is he just thinking that this is a competitive spot for him in order to win? At a short price, I would prefer others, especially considering he's not very fast and there's not a lot of pace in here.
He showed a lot of ability in his debut. Obviously something would have missed. We didn't see him for a long time. And now in for 20 maiden claiming. Let's send it upstairs. Larry Colmus with the call, the nightcap from Saratoga.
All in line. They're off. Presidential Bird is out for the lead. Britain on the outside, shot from the far outside. And then Borsavento, who's away running in fourth from the rail. They're being followed by Headliner. Archival to the inside is 5 lengths off the lead. IRST is next. Then Giant Brownie. Dublin Express trails the field. Up the backstretch, Britain in front. 3/4 of a length, shot on the outside. Borsavento is at the rail, 23.1 for the quarter. And then a shuffled back Presidential Bird. Headliner to the outside. Archival trying to squeeze through at the fence at the half-mile pole, 4 lengths off the lead. Then IRST, Giant Brownie, and Dublin Express. Britain up top as the field rounds the far turn. It's a 1.5 length lead. Shot and Borsavento are right behind. Headliner is circling up on the far outside. 3 wide and just a 1.5 lengths off the lead. IRST is coming up too outside of horses. Archival is down on the inside, and Presidential Bird, 46.87 was the half. They're into the stretch with Britain to catch. Britain turns for home in front. Tight quarters there for Archival, had to steady on the inside. Borsavento comes running for the lead with IRST now, and it's these two, IRST and Borsavento. Britain back to third on the inside. Then it's Archival. It's Borsavento and IRST. Borsavento on the inside, IRST on the outside. Borsavento in front. Borsavento, 3/4 of a length over IRST. Britain was third. Archival was fourth in 124.78.
New track record was not set in this race, but Borsavento does get the job done, dueling with IRST, and drops in for the lowest level he'd ever been at. Winning move for trainer Nick Zito.
A little bit slower than the track record, but we saw Britain go to the lead in here, and really no excuse from IRST. He was perfectly positioned. The pace came back from him. He was your favorite, dropping in class for Todd Pletcher. Borsavento, he wanted to win. IRST did not. And hats off to Nick Zito. Always happy to see him in the winner's circle.
I tell you, Nick Zito's not going to be happy to see Gabby Godet not in the winner's circle, because Nick is just infatuated with Gabby. And we are happy to see Nick get the win. And you know something? Tyler Gaffleone gave this horse a tremendous ride, because he kept his inside position and he didn't give it up. He didn't panic. He kept that position. They got in front of him, but he stayed there, so he was able to come through between horses. And I really think that made a big difference here, Paul, being inside of Erst.
No,
or IRST,
yeah,
the 3, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you make a great point there, because Gabby makes a better point. Castellano was confident. He had this race won. I looked at you, I'm like, no way, Pletcher's just going to go right by these horses. But Borsavento was able to go inside. And again, we talk about this a lot, Greg. This guy is the leading winner in North America and wins when it comes to wins. I get it. He rides at a lower circuit, but you cannot penalize the guy who crosses the winner's circle the most. He knows how to finish.
Yeah, you've been talking about him quite a bit over this past week or so, and Tyler Gaffleone now gets the win in the nightcap. Nick Zito gets his first winner here this Saratoga meeting, and Borsavento gets the job done at 5-1 here to close out the card on this Wednesday afternoon. We're going to take a break in the action. We'll be back. We'll have prices from the finale. Stick with us. More to come here on Saratoga Live next.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new Naira Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish from a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. Naira Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download Naira Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before.
Multiple Grade 1 winner First Samurai by Giants Causeway got off to a quick start at stud, siring Grade 1 winners in each of his first 3 crops. His talented son Lee captured the Grade 1 Don Handicap in record time and retired to stud with over $2.3 million in earnings. Sovereign Award nominee Stack Deck captured the Grade 3 Bold Venture Stakes and Grade 2 Kennedy Road Stakes, both just to tick off track record times. First Samurai at Claiborne Farm. Undefeated in sprint competition, Eclipse champion Run Happy captured 3 Grade 1 victories and set blistering speed records at both Keeneland and Saratoga. In the Breeders' Cup Sprint, he dominated the world's fastest runners, going 6 furlongs in a record-breaking 108 and change. The only horse nominated for 3 Eclipse Awards, Run Happy was crowned champion male sprinter, all the while racing 100% drug-free. Champion, millionaire, record breaker, Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new Naira Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish. From a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. Naira Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download Naira Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before. Back on Saratoga Live, Borsavento taking the finale here, outdueling IRST for the win at 5-1, $12.60 for the victory, owned by Masarosa. Tyler Gaffleone aboard for the winning ride, and the winning trainer, one of our favorites, standing by with Maggie.
It's always great to catch up with Nick Zito. And Nick, Borsavento, a horse who, I mean, you got the win. It's good to get the win.
And how, especially in Saratoga, you know. I had a few guys walking by in the grandstand that were going quack, quack, and I said, okay.
Worst feeling.
Yeah, but anyway, that was good. They brought us a little, they were laughing, but it's okay. Have fun with the fans, as you know, by now.
And Tyler Gaffleone aboard today, a guy that you had some success with down at Gulfstream Park, doing some riding here. What can you talk about this young rider?
I really think that racing's blessed with these young riders today. I mean, they're so good. You know, Tyler, Nick Juarez, those type of kids are unbelievable. They're going to follow Johnny. I hope Johnny stays around for a long time, but you know, Johnny and Hobby and those type of guys, because we got the Ortiz brothers, but we're very blessed to have a kid like this. He's excellent.
He really is, and he's riding here Mondays and Wednesdays. His agent, Matt Musiker, obviously very familiar with the New York circuit. But, Nick, looking forward to next Saturday. It is Travers Day. Giuseppe the Great coming in off of his second-place finish in the Jim Dandy. What can you tell us about him?
You know, you've been around a lot of horses, and you've been a horsebacker, and you know, when you have a horse that tries that way, and no matter where he runs, you know, it's funny, someone told me if you went to Vegas, you could have got like $1 million to 1 to beat the Derby winner and the Preakness winner and not win the race. But that's what makes Saratoga so great. You know, anything could happen. That's the thing. You have to run the race. Doesn't matter. And I'm just so happy that I honestly think we have a contender, like they say.
You do, and he's a horse that's kind of taken every step, taken every stretch out and distance in stride. I mean, the 1.25 miles, do you think it'll help him?
I honestly think no matter what, because the way he ran in the Jim Dandy and you know, was gallant to be second, you know, for the Derby winner and the Preakness winner, and that was pretty darn good. And I really think that he's a horse that if he could stay healthy, which he has, and thank God, you know, everybody has, like they say, you know, quirks are here, but he's perfect. So nobody's perfect, but I'm just hoping he stays away, because I really think he's going to be right there. And I don't usually say that. Hate to get, you know, you put your foot in your mouth and whatever it is, like they say, but I honestly think he's what they call a live long shot.
Nick, I couldn't agree with you more. You obviously know how to win a Travers as well. Best of luck. Congratulations here, though.
Thanks so much. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, Nick. Always great to catch up with Hall of Famer Nick Zito. Greg?
He is New York racing. I love those pipes. And who's heckling Nick Zito, two-time Derby winner? Are you kidding me?
Nobody would ever heckle Nick Zito. He's the greatest.
He's the only Yankee fan I love.
I tell you what, Nick Zito stops by the house to say hi to my mom. Nick Zito can do no wrong in my book.
Well, he gets on the board here with a win in the finale, and I'm sure he was a little disappointed, Gabby, you weren't down there, but Maggie, not a bad substitute.
No offense, Greg, but I kind of wish I was Maggie right now, at least for this block.
So it's a crush on both sides.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Here's the Naira Bets late pick 5 follow along. I don't blame you. $579 payout for this sequence here. By the way, the pick 4 only returned $82.25. Pick 5, $579.
That's very nice. And Kamen, $290. He figured.
It's twice the parlay. It's literally
really
twice the parlay, which is incredible.
It's phenomenal. But, we've been talking about this, guys. Like, you got to get involved. It's like, what, 9 times? And basically, you had to come at full salute, Gabby. And what was that? That was an entry. And everybody loves 2 for 1. So if you come at full salute, you're getting 9 times your money. It's just a no-brainer.
No, it's been consistently good value. And these bets are great value. And I hope people are getting involved. In a sequence like today, it was reasonably hittable for a reasonable sum of money. We showed it with the big 4s we put up. At least one of us did. I think it's one of my few winning tickets the entire meet. But, you were taking a shot in the last race. It was hittable. And sometimes in a card like today, it was a good way to get through the card and to play it. And like you said, almost $600. No difficult horses in the sequence.
No, I think what we're starting to realize, guys, upstairs, you get 7 or 8 to 1 in one of the 5 races, you're going to get value.
It has been sensational value. You definitely want to be part of it. The Naira Bets late pick 5. The only way to play it outside the state of New York is through Naira Bets. And if you play it through Naira Bets and you're the only winning ticket, guaranteed minimum winning payout $150,000 every day but Saturday, when that is $300,000.
It's an incredible opportunity to make some money.
Alabama coming up this weekend. Yeah. We cannot wait. It's going to be very fun. Of course, we're back tomorrow, though, as we work our way up to the weekend. So we hope you're tuned back in tomorrow, same time. In the Bolton Landing, March Express, providing more drama just like she did in her debut. And she is now a perfect 2 for 2 to start off her career for trainer Todd Pletcher. 3-win day for Jose Ortiz. And that's going to put a wrap on this Wednesday action. We hope you join us again tomorrow and the rest of the week here on Saratoga Live. We'll see you on Thursday.